Imagine discovering a place so dangerous, so secret, or so mysterious that simply trying to reach it could cost you your freedom, or even your life. Scattered across our planet are locations erased from maps, hidden behind armed checkpoints, buried beneath ancient legends, or sealed away by governments that refuse to answer questions. Some protect priceless treasures that humanity isn't ready to touch. Others hide deadly diseases, isolated tribes, radioactive disasters, or secrets that have fueled conspiracy theories for decades. What's even more unsettling is that many of these places actually exist. They aren't scenes from science fiction or Hollywood movies. They are real locations that thousands have searched for, but almost nobody has ever entered, and those who did rarely revealed the full story. Some are guarded by soldiers with orders to stop anyone who comes too close. Others are protected by nature itself, where one wrong step means there is no rescue coming. And a few are surrounded by mysteries so bizarre that even modern science still struggles to explain them. Tonight, you're about to travel across every continent without leaving your seat. You'll witness forbidden islands, underground vaults, abandoned cities frozen in time, secret military facilities, sacred temples closed to the outside world, and places where the truth remains locked behind walls no ordinary person will ever cross. But here's the real question. If these places are completely off limits, what are they protecting? And more importantly, what don't they want the rest of the world to see? Before we unlock the first mystery, make sure you subscribe to XyraMyst and turn on notifications. Every week, we uncover the world's most chilling mysteries, forgotten histories, unsolved disappearances, and unbelievable true stories that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. If mysteries fascinate you, you're in exactly the right place. Now, let's begin our journey into the world's most forbidden destinations. The first place might look like an ordinary tropical island from the sky. Crystal clear water. White sandy beaches. Dense green forests. It appears almost like paradise. But the moment an outsider steps onto its shores, paradise becomes one of the deadliest places on Earth. In fact, governments don't simply recommend avoiding this island. They forbid it completely. And the reason why has shocked explorers, historians, and scientists for generations. From high above, North Sentinel Island looks almost unreal. A perfect ring of dazzling white sand surrounds a thick blanket of emerald rainforest. Brilliant turquoise water glows under the tropical sun, while gentle waves roll onto untouched beaches. To most travelers, it looks like the kind of paradise you'd spend a lifetime trying to find. But appearances can be dangerously misleading. This isn't a tropical vacation destination. It is one of the most heavily protected places on Earth, not because of military bases, hidden treasure, or government secrets, but because of the people who have lived here for thousands of years. The island lies deep within the Andaman Islands in the Indian Ocean, and it is home to the Sentinelese, one of the last truly uncontacted tribes on the planet. No one knows exactly how many people live there. Some researchers estimate fewer than 50. Others believe the population could be over 100. The truth is that nobody knows for certain. And that's because no one is allowed to get close enough to find out. For thousands of years, the Sentinelese have lived almost completely isolated from the outside world. While civilizations rose and fell, empires conquered continents, and technology transformed humanity, life on North Sentinel Island barely changed. They still hunt with bows. They still fish using handmade spears. They still survive entirely from the forests and surrounding reefs. Their way of life has endured through countless generations, untouched by modern civilization. But there's something else that makes this island unlike any other. The Sentinelese have made one thing painfully clear. They do not want visitors. History has recorded several attempts to approach the island, and nearly all ended the same way. With arrows. The tribe doesn't issue warnings. They don't negotiate. The moment an unfamiliar boat drifts too close, armed warriors often appear along the shoreline, drawing their bows with remarkable precision. To outsiders, that reaction may seem hostile. But anthropologists see it differently. From the Sentinelese perspective, every stranger represents an unknown threat. And history has given isolated tribes plenty of reasons to fear outsiders. Throughout the centuries, contact with foreign explorers often brought deadly diseases that isolated populations had no immunity against. Entire communities disappeared after a single encounter. A common cold. The flu. Measles. Illnesses that most people recover from could devastate a population that has lived in complete isolation for thousands of years. That is exactly why the Indian government now enforces a strict exclusion zone around the island. Nobody is allowed to land there. Fishing boats must keep their distance. Tourists cannot visit. Even researchers need special authorization that is almost never granted. Ironically, the greatest protection for the Sentinelese isn't a wall or an army. It's their isolation. One event in particular reminded the entire world just how serious those boundaries are. In 2018, an American missionary named John Allen Chow secretly paid local fishermen to take him close to the island. Despite repeated warnings from authorities, he believed he could peacefully introduce himself to the tribe. He paddled toward the beach carrying gifts and speaking words of friendship. What happened next unfolded within moments. According to witnesses watching from offshore, tribe members emerged from the forest with bows drawn. Soon after, arrows flew through the air. Chow never returned. His body was reportedly seen being pulled across the beach before disappearing into the forest. Because entering the island would place both rescue teams and the Sentinelese at risk, authorities made the difficult decision not to recover his remains. The tragedy shocked the world. Yet many experts argued that the incident reinforced why the island must remain protected. The Sentinelese weren't acting out of unexplained aggression. They were defending the only world they have ever known. Even today, satellites can photograph the island from space. Aircraft occasionally pass high overhead. Ships cross distant waters. Yet almost nothing is known about what happens beneath the dense forest canopy. What language do they truly speak? How do they pass down their history? What stories have survived for thousands of years? What do they believe lies beyond the horizon? No one outside the tribe can answer those questions. Perhaps that's what makes North Sentinel Island so captivating. In an age where almost every corner of the planet has been mapped, photographed, and uploaded online, this tiny island remains one of humanity's last true mysteries. There are no travel vlogs. No documentaries filmed inside. No social media posts revealing hidden locations. Only distant photographs. Ancient speculation. And countless unanswered questions. Sometimes, the greatest mystery isn't what we discover. It's what we agree to leave undiscovered. And while North Sentinel Island remains sealed away from the modern world, our next destination wasn't protected by isolation. It was protected by something far more terrifying. Radiation so deadly that decades later, people still cannot safely live there. A city where clocks suddenly stopped. Schools were abandoned overnight. Meals were left unfinished. And thousands of lives changed forever in a single catastrophic moment. At first glance, it looks like time simply stopped. Apartment buildings still stand where families once laughed together. Children's toys remain scattered across dusty classroom floors. Ferris wheels that were meant to celebrate a new season have never carried a single passenger. Trees now grow through cracked roads, and silence has replaced the sounds of everyday life. But this isn't an abandoned movie set. This is Chernobyl. A place where an invisible enemy transformed an ordinary city into one of the most dangerous locations on Earth. Unlike North Sentinel Island, no one here tried to keep the outside world away. Instead, the danger itself became the barrier. It all began in the early hours of April 26, 1986. Inside reactor number 4 of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, engineers were performing what seemed like a routine safety test. The experiment had been planned for months. No one expected history to change before sunrise. A combination of design flaws, critical mistakes, and rapidly escalating reactions triggered one of the worst nuclear disasters humanity has ever witnessed. Then, everything went catastrophically wrong. An enormous explosion ripped through the reactor. A second blast followed moments later. The concrete roof weighing hundreds of tons was thrown into the air like paper. Pieces of burning radioactive graphite landed across the facility, while a column of radioactive material shot thousands of feet into the atmosphere. Workers standing nearby had no idea what had just happened. Many believed it was nothing more than an industrial fire. Some even walked directly toward the glowing reactor. They didn't realize they were stepping into radiation levels so intense that they would receive fatal doses within minutes. The most terrifying part was that radiation couldn't be seen. There was no smoke carrying obvious poison. No warning sirens. No strange smell. The air looked completely normal. Yet every breath exposed people to something that would silently attack their bodies from the inside. Just a few miles away sat the city of Pripyat. Nearly 50,000 people called it home. It was a modern Soviet city filled with schools, apartment complexes, parks, restaurants, and young families. Most residents slept peacefully while radioactive particles drifted across the sky above them. Children woke up the next morning, walked to playgrounds, rode bicycles, and played outside beneath what appeared to be another beautiful spring day. No one told them what had happened. Nearly 36 hours passed before authorities finally ordered an evacuation. Buses arrived one after another. Officials instructed residents to pack only essential belongings. They were told they would be gone for just a few days. Most believed they would soon return home. Many left dinner on the table. Family photographs remained on shelves. Favorite books stayed beside children's beds. Pets were tied outside, waiting for owners who never came back. Those few days became forever. Entire neighborhoods were abandoned almost overnight. Thousands of homes remain exactly where their owners left them. Walk through Pripyat today, and you'll find classrooms frozen in time. Old textbooks lie open beneath layers of dust. Hospital corridors stretch endlessly through darkness. Apartment windows stare silently over empty streets reclaimed by forests. Nature has slowly erased nearly every sign that people once built a thriving community here. Trees burst through concrete. Roots split abandoned roads apart. Wildflowers bloom inside broken buildings. Wolves, elk, wild boars, lynxes, and even bears now roam areas where school buses once drove every morning. It almost feels as though nature patiently waited for humans to disappear before quietly reclaiming everything. But beneath that peaceful appearance, the danger never completely vanished. Radioactive material settled into the soil, forests, rivers, and buildings. Some isotopes decay quickly. Others remain hazardous for decades. A few will continue emitting radiation for centuries. Certain areas inside the exclusion zone are relatively safe for carefully monitored visits. Others remain so contaminated that even spending a short time there dramatically increases exposure. That's why large sections of the zone remain strictly controlled. Visitors who are allowed inside must follow designated routes. They wear radiation monitors. They avoid touching objects. And before leaving, every person passes through scanners that check for radioactive contamination. Yet despite these precautions, Chernobyl has become surrounded by mysteries that continue to fascinate the world. Stories of ghost cities. Abandoned laboratories. Secret Soviet facilities. Mutated wildlife. Some claims have been exaggerated by movies, video games, and internet rumors. Scientists studying the area have found that while radiation has affected ecosystems, many of the terrifying legends simply aren't supported by evidence. The real story is frightening enough without fiction. An entire city vanished. Thousands of lives changed forever. Millions across Europe were exposed to radioactive fallout. And one mistake became a warning that still shapes nuclear safety today. Perhaps the eeriest symbol of Chernobyl is the giant Ferris wheel in Pripyat. It was supposed to open for the city's May Day celebrations. Children eagerly waited to ride it for the very first time. But disaster struck before opening day. The wheel never officially welcomed a single passenger. Today, it stands motionless against the skyline, a haunting reminder of a future that never arrived. Even after nearly 4 decades, engineers continue working to contain the damaged reactor. The massive steel structure known as the new safe confinement now covers reactor number 4, helping prevent further radioactive release while allowing crews to dismantle the remains safely over many decades. The disaster may belong to history, but its consequences continue into the present. Chernobyl reminds us that humanity's greatest dangers aren't always monsters hiding in the dark. Sometimes they're invisible. And sometimes the places we build ourselves become the places we can never truly reclaim. But if Chernobyl became forbidden because of a catastrophic accident, our next destination was sealed off by human choice. Hidden beneath the Nevada desert lies a place surrounded by fences, armed patrols, and decades of conspiracy theories. A place where official answers only created even bigger questions. A place the world knows by just 2 words. Area 51. Some places become famous because of what people can see. Area 51 became famous because of what no one is allowed to see. Hidden deep within the scorching Nevada desert, surrounded by endless miles of dry lake beds and rugged mountains, lies one of the most secretive military facilities ever built. Official maps once ignored it. Pilots avoided its airspace. Satellite images revealed little more than long runways and mysterious buildings, yet for decades, its name became synonymous with one question that refuses to disappear. What is really happening inside Area 51? The mystery began during one of the most dangerous periods in modern history. In the 1950s, the Cold War had divided the world into 2 rival superpowers. Every technological breakthrough could determine who held the advantage, and secrecy became a weapon as powerful as any missile. The United States needed a location so isolated that experimental aircraft could be tested without foreign spies watching. The answer was a dry lake called Groom Lake. Miles from the nearest city, surrounded by harsh desert terrain, it was almost impossible for ordinary people to accidentally wander close. Construction began quietly. Runways appeared. Hangars rose from the empty landscape. Security tightened. Before long, the base had become one of America's most closely guarded military installations. Officially, almost nobody talked about it. Unofficially, everyone did. For years, pilots flying nearby occasionally reported seeing aircraft performing maneuvers that seemed impossible. Others flew at unbelievable speeds before disappearing over the horizon. Witnesses described shapes unlike traditional airplanes. Triangles. Flying wings. Disc-like silhouettes. To those who saw them, there were only 2 explanations. Either the United States had developed technology decades ahead of the rest of the world, or something far stranger was taking place. As rumors spread, Area 51 slowly transformed into the center of modern mythology. Then came one event that fueled those theories even further. In 1947, near the small town of Roswell, New Mexico, reports emerged that an unidentified object had crashed in the desert. The military initially announced that they had recovered a flying disc. Only hours later, that statement was withdrawn. Officials claimed it was merely a weather balloon. For many people, that sudden change raised more questions than it answered. Over the following decades, conspiracy theories exploded. Some believed wreckage from Roswell had been transported to Area 51. Others claimed alien spacecraft were secretly stored inside underground hangars. There were stories about reverse engineering extraterrestrial technology. Whispers of recovered alien bodies. Hidden laboratories. Secret meetings. Even alleged collaborations between humans and visitors from another world. Books were written. Television specials aired. Hollywood embraced the mystery. Area 51 became the ultimate symbol of government secrecy. But separating fact from fiction has never been easy. What is confirmed is that the base has played a critical role in developing some of the most advanced aircraft ever created. Projects like the U-2 spy plane, the A-12 reconnaissance aircraft, and the legendary F-117 Nighthawk stealth fighter were all developed under extraordinary secrecy. When those aircraft first flew, their designs looked unlike anything the public had ever seen. To an observer in the 1950s or 1960s, a stealth aircraft crossing the night sky might have appeared completely alien. Many historians believe that these classified programs unintentionally fueled decades of UFO reports. Yet despite those explanations, questions remain. Why does security around Area 51 remain so extreme? Warning signs stretch across the desert, making one thing perfectly clear. Photography is restricted. Trespassing is prohibited. Deadly force may be authorized under certain circumstances. Highly trained security teams patrol the perimeter around the clock. Motion sensors monitor remote desert roads. Cameras watch every approach. Even the airspace above the base is among the most restricted anywhere in the world. Commercial aircraft cannot fly over it. Private pilots avoid it. Unauthorized drones are prohibited. Everything about Area 51 is designed to ensure that whatever happens inside stays inside. In 2013, after decades of speculation, the U.S. government officially acknowledged Area 51's existence. For many people, this should have ended the mystery. Instead, it made the mystery even bigger. If the government had kept the base secret for so many years, what else hadn't been revealed? The internet quickly filled with new theories. Some claimed underground tunnels connected Area 51 to other military facilities. Others insisted enormous laboratories stretched beneath the desert floor. There were stories about experimental energy weapons, advanced artificial intelligence, and aircraft capable of extraordinary speeds. None of these claims have been verified. But the lack of publicly available information continues to keep the speculation alive. Perhaps the strangest moment in Area 51's history happened in 2019. A joke posted online suggested that millions of people should storm Area 51 to finally uncover its secrets. The idea spread across social media with astonishing speed. Within days, millions of people had clicked interested. News organizations around the world covered the event. Military officials issued warnings. In the end, only a small number of curious visitors actually arrived. Some dressed as aliens. Others simply wanted to experience standing as close as legally possible to the world's most mysterious military base. No one crossed the heavily protected perimeter. And no secrets were revealed. In many ways, that moment perfectly captured the legend of Area 51. People are endlessly fascinated by what they cannot see. Human imagination naturally fills empty spaces with extraordinary possibilities. Whether Area 51 hides revolutionary military technology, classified aviation projects, or simply decades of misunderstood secrecy, one fact remains undeniable. Very few people know exactly what happens behind those guarded gates. And those who do aren't talking. Perhaps that's why Area 51 has never stopped capturing the world's imagination. Not because we know what's inside, but because we don't. Every unanswered question gives birth to another theory. Every classified document inspires another debate. Every glimpse of an unfamiliar aircraft sparks another wave of speculation. Sometimes, mystery itself becomes more powerful than the truth. But while Area 51 hides behind fences, surveillance systems, and military patrols, our next destination is protected by something far older than modern governments. Deep beneath the streets of Rome lies a place where nearly 500,000 people rest in silence. A labyrinth of narrow tunnels carved into stone, where ancient symbols cover forgotten walls, and where countless secrets of the earliest Christians remain buried beneath one of the world's greatest cities. The Vatican's secret archives, or rather, what lies beneath the Vatican itself. Hidden behind towering Renaissance walls, beneath the spiritual heart of the Catholic Church, lies a place that has inspired centuries of speculation, whispered legends, and countless conspiracy theories. For many people, it isn't just another archive. It's believed to be one of the most secretive collections of knowledge on Earth. A place where history itself is locked behind doors that almost no one will ever pass through. The Vatican Apostolic Archive. For years, millions of people knew it by another name. The Vatican Secret Archives. That title alone was enough to ignite the imagination. What secrets could possibly be hidden inside a place that belonged to one of the world's oldest and most influential institutions? Ancient prophecies. Lost religious texts. Evidence that could rewrite human history. Or something even more extraordinary. The truth begins nearly 400 years ago. In 1612, Pope Paul V ordered the creation of a central archive where the Church could safely preserve its most valuable records. Over the centuries, that collection grew into something almost unimaginable. Today, historians estimate the archive contains more than 80 kilometers, over 50 miles, of shelving. Imagine endless corridors stretching beneath the Vatican, lined with manuscripts, royal letters, maps, legal documents, and handwritten records that span well over 1,000 years. Some documents were written before entire nations even existed. Kings, queens, emperors, scientists, artists, popes. Their words remain preserved within these walls. Every shelf represents another chapter of human civilization. Yet despite its enormous historical value, very few people are allowed inside. The average tourist will never see it. Even most priests cannot enter. Only carefully approved scholars with legitimate academic research are granted limited access, and even then, they cannot simply wander through the collection. Researchers submit detailed requests for specific documents. Archivists retrieve the material. Certain sections remain completely inaccessible. This strict system exists primarily to protect fragile historical records, many of which would be permanently damaged by excessive handling. But for decades, that explanation wasn't enough for people whose imaginations raced far beyond official statements. Because whenever information is restricted, mystery fills the empty space. Some conspiracy theories claim the Vatican possesses documents proving that advanced civilizations existed thousands of years before recorded history. Others believe hidden manuscripts describe encounters with beings from beyond Earth. Some insist the Church secretly preserves forbidden Gospels that tell an entirely different story of early Christianity. There are even claims that the archive contains proof of miracles, prophecies predicting the end of the world, or technologies lost to history. These stories have appeared in books, documentaries, movies, and across the internet for decades. Yet despite their popularity, no credible evidence has ever confirmed them. Reality, however, is no less fascinating. Among the verified treasures preserved inside the archive are letters written by some of history's most influential figures. One of the most famous is a letter from King Henry VIII of England. Desperate to annul his marriage to Catherine of Aragon, Henry appealed directly to Pope Clement VII. That single decision eventually contributed to England breaking away from the Roman Catholic Church, forever changing the religious landscape of Europe. The original letter still survives. Elsewhere in the archive are documents connected to Galileo Galilei, the brilliant scientist whose support for the idea that Earth revolves around the Sun brought him into conflict with Church authorities. Those records reveal one of history's greatest confrontations between scientific discovery and religious tradition. The archive also preserves correspondence from Michelangelo, records from the trial of the Knights Templar, diplomatic letters exchanged between popes and world leaders, centuries of agreements, investigations, and decisions that helped shape the modern world. In many ways, the Vatican Apostolic Archive isn't hiding fantasy. It's protecting history itself. Yet one question continues to fascinate historians. How many important discoveries remain unread? Millions of documents have never been fully studied. Some are written in ancient languages. Others require years of specialized research simply to understand. Many remain untouched because there are too few experts capable of interpreting them. Imagine walking through endless shelves knowing that somewhere nearby rests a manuscript no living person has examined in centuries. A forgotten letter. An unknown diary. A document capable of revealing details historians never knew existed. Those possibilities are very real. Unlike the myths surrounding aliens or supernatural relics, history still holds countless unanswered questions waiting to be uncovered. Even the name itself caused confusion for generations. When people heard secret archives, they imagined hidden conspiracies. But the word secret came from the Latin word secretum, meaning private or personal. It referred to the Pope's personal archive, not a vault filled with forbidden knowledge. To reduce misunderstandings, the Vatican officially changed its English name in 2019 to the Vatican Apostolic Archive. The documents themselves never changed. Only the name did. Yet public curiosity only grew stronger. Perhaps that's because mystery isn't created by walls alone. It's created by access. Most people will never hold these centuries-old manuscripts. Never walk the silent corridors where history sleeps. Never witness the fragile pages that survived wars, revolutions, fires, and the collapse of empires. That sense of distance transforms an archive into a legend. In an age where almost every piece of information seems only a click away, places like this remind us that some knowledge still requires patience, scholarship, and extraordinary permission. Not everything can be instantly searched. Not every mystery has already been solved. Sometimes the greatest discoveries remain quietly waiting on a shelf, hidden in plain sight. But if the Vatican protects the written history of humanity, our next destination protects something even older. Far beyond the icy waters of the Arctic lies an island so heavily guarded that almost no one is allowed to step ashore. There are no hotels. No guided tours. No permanent towns. Only frozen mountains. Polar bears. And a vault built to survive the collapse of civilization itself. A place designed to protect the future of humanity, even if humanity itself disappears. Svalbard Global Seed Vault. If civilization were to collapse tomorrow. If war spread across continents. If a global pandemic destroyed agriculture. Or if climate disasters wiped out entire ecosystems. Where would humanity begin again? Hidden deep inside a frozen mountain, nearly halfway between mainland Norway and the North Pole, lies a place built to answer that terrifying question. It isn't a military bunker. It isn't a secret laboratory. And it doesn't protect gold, priceless art, or government documents. Instead, it protects something far more valuable. The future of every meal humanity may ever eat. Welcome to the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. At first glance, the entrance doesn't seem extraordinary. A concrete doorway emerges from the side of an icy mountain, surrounded by endless snow and silence. There are no crowds. No souvenir shops. No tour buses waiting outside. Just an isolated structure standing against one of the harshest climates on Earth. It almost feels forgotten. But behind that modest entrance lies one of the most important facilities ever built by human hands. The vault sits on the Norwegian archipelago of Svalbard, more than 800 miles from the North Pole. temperatures remain below freezing for much of the year. The surrounding permafrost naturally preserves whatever is stored inside. Even if the power failed completely, the frozen mountain itself would continue protecting its contents for years. That wasn't an accident. It was part of the design. Scientists wanted a location stable enough to survive disasters that could destroy almost anywhere else on Earth. Far from earthquakes. Far from major cities. Far from political conflict. A place where nature itself becomes the world's most reliable security system. Beyond the heavily reinforced entrance, long tunnels disappear into the mountain. At the end of those tunnels are massive steel doors leading into storage chambers kept at approximately -18°C. Inside, shelves stretch from floor to ceiling. Not with money. Not with weapons. But with millions of tiny packets. Each one contains seeds. Rice. Corn. Wheat. Beans. Barley. Vegetables. Wild plants. Fruit trees. Flowers. Crops collected from nearly every corner of the world. Together, they represent the genetic diversity of thousands of plant species, the foundation of global agriculture. Without them, modern civilization simply could not survive. Every country depends on crops. Every family depends on food. Every future harvest depends on preserving the genetic traits that allow plants to resist disease, survive drought, endure floods, or adapt to changing climates. If those varieties disappear forever, humanity loses options it may desperately need one day. That's why countries from across the globe send duplicate seed collections to Svalbard. The vault serves as the world's agricultural backup drive. Just as people save copies of important computer files, nations save copies of their most valuable crops. If a regional seed bank is destroyed by war, fire, flooding, or natural disaster, replacements can be retrieved from this frozen mountain. And that isn't merely a theoretical idea. It has already happened. In 2015, conflict in Syria forced researchers to abandon an important agricultural seed bank near Aleppo. Years of scientific work appeared lost. But because duplicate samples had been safely stored inside Svalbard, scientists were able to recover thousands of seed varieties and begin rebuilding the collection. For the first time in history, the vault fulfilled the exact mission it had been created for. A real-world catastrophe. A real-world recovery. Proof that preparing for the worst can protect the future. Despite its life-saving purpose, very few people will ever step inside. The facility isn't open for tourism. Access is tightly controlled. Only authorized staff and approved representatives from participating organizations can enter the storage chambers. Even the countries depositing seeds don't own the entire vault. Each collection remains the property of the institution that supplied it. The vault simply safeguards them. Think of it as the world's safest safety deposit box, except instead of protecting wealth, it protects life. Over the years, the seed vault has inspired its own collection of myths. Some people believe it stores DNA from extinct animals. Others claim it hides secret technologies, classified biological research, or even evidence connected to the end of the world. None of those claims are supported by credible evidence. The truth is remarkable enough. Humanity built an insurance policy for civilization. A place designed not for today's problems, but for tomorrow's unknown disasters. Even this extraordinary facility has faced unexpected challenges. In 2016, unusually warm Arctic temperatures caused meltwater to enter part of the entrance tunnel. The seeds themselves remained completely safe, but the incident reminded engineers that even the Arctic is changing. Climate change was affecting one of the very places chosen because it seemed almost immune to environmental instability. Upgrades were quickly completed to strengthen the entrance and improve drainage, ensuring the vault remained secure for generations to come. It was a powerful reminder. No place on Earth is entirely beyond nature's reach. Yet despite these challenges, the Svalbard Global Seed Vault continues to grow. Every year, more countries contribute new seed varieties. More genetic diversity is preserved. More hope is stored behind those frozen walls. Perhaps that's the most fascinating part of this place. It wasn't built because humanity expects the world to end. It was built because responsible people understand that protecting the future begins long before disaster arrives. Most visitors to Svalbard will never see beyond the outer entrance. The countless seeds resting inside remain hidden from public view. Silent. Frozen. Waiting. Hopefully. Never needed. But if the unthinkable ever happens, those tiny seeds may become the foundation upon which future generations rebuild the world. Sometimes, the most powerful treasures aren't made of gold or diamonds. Sometimes, they fit inside the palm of your hand. And while this frozen vault protects humanity's future, our next destination protects the past. Buried beneath the sands of China lies the untouched tomb of an emperor so obsessed with immortality that he ordered an entire underground kingdom to be built for the afterlife. Thousands of life-sized warriors stand guard over his resting place. Yet after more than 2,000 years, the emperor's actual burial chamber remains sealed. Not because archaeologists can't open it, but because they're afraid of what might happen if they do. The tomb of Qin Shi Huang. Some mysteries remain unsolved because people can't find them. Others remain unsolved because humanity has chosen not to open them. Hidden beneath a quiet green hill near the ancient Chinese city of Xi'an lies one of the greatest archaeological mysteries ever discovered. It belongs to a man who believed death itself could be conquered. A ruler so powerful that he united a divided nation, reshaped history forever, and spent nearly 4 decades building an underground empire that no living person was ever meant to enter. His name was Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of a unified China. More than 2,200 years ago, Qin Shi Huang accomplished what many believed was impossible. He defeated rival kingdoms, united vast territories under a single rule, standardized currency, writing systems, and measurements, and laid the foundation for what would eventually become one of the world's greatest civilizations. Yet despite all his achievements, one enemy remained undefeated: death. Historical records describe an emperor consumed by the fear of mortality. He sent expeditions across distant seas searching for mythical islands said to contain the secret of eternal life. Alchemists prepared mysterious potions promising immortality. Ironically, many of those so-called elixirs contained mercury, a toxic metal that may have contributed to his death instead of preventing it. But Qin Shi Huang wasn't willing to accept that death would erase his power. If he couldn't rule forever above the ground, he would rule forever beneath it. Construction of his burial complex reportedly began when he was only 13 years old. According to ancient accounts, hundreds of thousands of workers spent decades creating an underground city unlike anything the world had ever seen. Palaces, roads, treasures, weapons, gardens. Everything an emperor might need in the afterlife. It wasn't simply a tomb. It was an entire kingdom built below the earth. Then, for centuries, it disappeared. Its exact location faded into legend. Many believed it had been lost forever. Everything changed in 1974. A group of local farmers was digging a well during a dry season when their shovels struck something unexpected. Instead of water, they uncovered fragments of ancient pottery. Archaeologists were called to investigate. What they discovered stunned the entire world. Beneath the soil stood row after row of life-sized clay soldiers. Each one armed. Each one standing in formation. Each one facing east as though waiting for an order that would never come. Today, we know them as the Terracotta Army. More than 8,000 warriors are believed to guard the emperor's resting place. Alongside them are hundreds of horses, chariots, military officers, archers, generals, even musicians and government officials. Every figure was crafted with astonishing detail. No two faces appear exactly alike. Some have mustaches. Others wear different hairstyles. Their expressions vary subtly, giving the impression that each soldier represents a real individual rather than a simple copy. Even after more than 2 millennia, their craftsmanship continues to amaze experts. Yet here's the incredible part. The terracotta army isn't the greatest mystery. It's merely the entrance. The emperor himself still rests beneath a massive burial mound located nearby. And unlike the surrounding excavation sites, his actual tomb has never been opened. Not because archaeologists don't know where it is. They know exactly where it lies. Modern technology, including ground-penetrating radar and remote sensing, has helped scientists study the area without disturbing it. The burial chamber almost certainly remains beneath the mound. So why not excavate it? The answer is surprisingly simple. Once something is removed from the ground, it immediately begins to change. When the terracotta warriors were first uncovered, archaeologists noticed something heartbreaking. Many of the statues originally wore brilliant colors. Bright reds, deep blues, rich purples, vibrant greens. But within minutes of exposure to air, those ancient pigments began to crack, curl, and disappear forever. Centuries of preserved beauty vanished before scientists could save it. That painful lesson changed everything. Researchers realized that opening the emperor's burial chamber too soon could destroy priceless history that modern conservation techniques still aren't prepared to protect. Then there is another mystery. Ancient historian Sima Qian described the emperor's tomb in extraordinary detail. According to his writings, the burial chamber contains rivers and seas made of flowing mercury, designed to represent the geography of China. Above them, the ceiling supposedly recreates the stars of the night sky. The emperor rests at the center of this miniature universe, surrounded by unimaginable treasures. For centuries, many scholars dismissed those descriptions as exaggeration. Until scientists began studying the soil surrounding the burial mound. Their instruments detected unusually high concentrations of mercury. Far higher than what naturally occurs in the area. While this doesn't prove every ancient account is accurate, it has given new credibility to stories once considered legendary. If large quantities of mercury truly exist inside the chamber, opening it without extreme caution could pose serious environmental and safety challenges. But mercury isn't the only concern. Ancient texts also describe sophisticated traps designed to protect the emperor even after death. Crossbows supposedly rigged to fire automatically at intruders. Mechanical defenses waiting silently for anyone foolish enough to enter. Whether those devices still function after more than 2,000 years remains unknown. No one has tested them. No one has seen them. Because no one has crossed the threshold. That decision frustrates many people. After all, we possess advanced technology. Powerful robots. Modern engineering. Why wait? Archaeologists answer with another question. If you had only one chance to preserve one of the greatest discoveries in human history, would you risk destroying it forever? History has taught painful lessons. Early excavations around the world often damaged priceless artifacts simply because technology wasn't advanced enough to protect them. Today's researchers hope future generations will possess tools far beyond anything available now. Perhaps one day they will open the tomb safely. Perhaps they will discover treasures unlike anything humanity has ever seen. Or perhaps the greatest treasure will be the knowledge itself. Until that day arrives, Qin Shi Huang continues to guard his final secret. His underground kingdom remains sealed. His burial chamber remains untouched. And one of history's most powerful rulers continues waiting beneath the earth exactly as he intended more than 22 centuries ago. Some mysteries survive because they are impossible to solve. Others survive because wisdom tells us. Not every door should be opened before we're truly ready. But while an emperor's tomb remains protected by time and careful science, our next destination is protected by something far more dangerous. A place where stepping onto the ground could trigger explosives left behind by war decades ago. An island so beautiful that it looks like paradise from the sky. Yet beneath its lush green forests lies one of the deadliest landscapes on Earth. Ilha de Queimada Grande, Snake Island. From the air, it looks like the definition of paradise. Emerald green forests blanket the hills. Steep cliffs rise above the sparkling Atlantic Ocean. Crystal clear waves crash against untouched rocky shores. If you didn't know its name, you might think it was the perfect place for an unforgettable adventure. But this island hides a terrifying reality. One careless step could place you within striking distance of one of the deadliest snakes on Earth. Welcome to Snake Island. Officially known as Ilha de Queimada Grande, this small island sits about 20 miles off the coast of Brazil. It covers less than half a square kilometer. Tiny by most standards. Yet despite its size, almost no one is allowed to set foot there. Not because of military secrets. Not because of hidden treasure. But because nature has turned this isolated island into one of the most dangerous places on the planet. Centuries ago, Snake Island wasn't isolated at all. Scientists believe it was once connected to mainland South America. As sea levels gradually rose after the last ice age, the land bridge disappeared beneath the ocean. Animals trapped on the island suddenly found themselves completely cut off from the outside world. Most species adapted. One species evolved into something extraordinary. The golden lancehead pit viper. Found nowhere else on Earth, this venomous snake became the island's dominant predator. Without large mammals to hunt, it adapted to feed primarily on birds that stopped on the island during migration. Those birds couldn't escape quickly. So the snakes evolved faster-acting venom, allowing them to immobilize prey within moments before it could fly away. Nature had created the perfect hunter. Today, the golden lancehead is considered one of the world's most venomous snakes. Its bite can cause severe tissue damage, internal bleeding, kidney failure, and other life-threatening complications if left untreated. Fortunately, encounters with humans are incredibly rare. Because humans almost never go there. For years, stories about Snake Island spread across Brazil. Some claimed there was one snake for every square meter. Others insisted the ground moved beneath your feet because so many snakes covered the forest floor. These dramatic tales made headlines around the world. The truth is more measured, but still astonishing. Scientific surveys suggest the population has changed over time and is likely much lower than the most sensational estimates. Even so, thousands of venomous snakes still inhabit this small island, making it one of the densest known populations of venomous serpents anywhere on Earth. Walking through its dense vegetation would require extreme caution. Every fallen branch. Every rock. Every patch of leaves. Could conceal a perfectly camouflaged predator. Unlike many snakes that prefer to avoid people, these vipers rely on remaining almost invisible until the perfect moment. Their golden-brown scales blend effortlessly into the forest. A person could unknowingly stand only a few feet away without ever realizing it. That's one reason the Brazilian government strictly controls access. Unauthorized visitors are prohibited. Only a small number of approved scientists and conservation researchers are occasionally permitted to land, and even they follow carefully planned safety procedures. Medical preparations are extensive. Protective equipment is essential. Every step is calculated. Because on Snake Island, there is almost no room for mistakes. Yet the snakes themselves aren't the villains of this story. In fact, they're victims of their own isolation. Since the golden lancehead exists nowhere else on Earth, the entire species depends on this single island for survival. Habitat loss. Illegal wildlife trafficking. Disease. Environmental changes. Any major disruption could threaten the species with extinction. Ironically, the same restrictions that keep people safe also help protect one of the rarest reptiles on the planet. Over the years, Snake Island has inspired countless legends. One of the most famous tells the story of a lighthouse keeper and his family. According to the tale, snakes entered the lighthouse during the night, forcing the family to flee before they were fatally bitten. The story has appeared in documentaries, books, and online videos for years. However, historians have found little reliable evidence confirming that it actually happened. In reality, the island's lighthouse eventually became automated, eliminating the need for permanent human residence. Like many mysterious places, Snake Island has attracted myths that grow more dramatic with every retelling. The facts alone, however, are remarkable enough. An isolated ecosystem. A species found nowhere else. Thousands of highly venomous snakes evolving in complete separation from the mainland for thousands of years. It's one of evolution's most extraordinary natural laboratories. Scientists continue studying the golden lancehead because its venom may hold valuable medical clues. Researchers have investigated compounds within the venom for potential applications in treating certain cardiovascular conditions and other diseases. The very toxin that makes the snake so dangerous could one day contribute to life-saving medical advances. Nature often works that way. What appears terrifying at first glance sometimes holds incredible value beneath the surface. As the sun sets over Snake Island, silence returns to the forest. The birds disappear. The shadows grow longer. And hidden among branches and fallen leaves, thousands of patient hunters continue the ancient cycle that has existed here for countless generations. No fences are needed. No warning sirens echo across the cliffs. Nature itself guards this island better than any army ever could. For most of us, Snake Island will remain something we experience only through photographs and stories. And perhaps that's exactly how it should stay. Because while Snake Island is protected by one of nature's deadliest predators, our next destination is protected by something far more mysterious. In the middle of the Nevada desert stands a perfect circle carved into the mountainside. No roads lead inside. No visitors are welcomed. No one knows exactly what lies beyond its massive entrance. Some call it the most secure vault ever created. Others believe it hides secrets powerful enough to reshape history itself. The truth behind Cheyenne Mountain Complex is far stranger than fiction. Some fortresses are built to keep enemies out. Others are built to ensure humanity survives if the unthinkable happens. Carved deep inside a solid granite mountain in Colorado lies a military complex so heavily protected that it has become one of the most fascinating restricted locations in the United States. From the outside, there's almost nothing remarkable about it. A quiet mountain. Dense forests. A winding road leading toward an enormous steel blast door. But behind that entrance lies a facility designed to withstand disasters most people hope will never happen. Welcome to the Cheyenne Mountain Complex. Unlike ancient tombs or isolated islands, this place wasn't created by nature. It was created by fear. During the height of the Cold War, the possibility of a nuclear attack was no longer considered science fiction. It was a real military concern. Governments on both sides of the conflict prepared for scenarios that could change civilization in a single day. The United States needed a command center capable of continuing operations even if the country came under attack. That requirement led engineers to one incredible idea. Instead of building a bunker beneath the ground, they would build one inside a mountain. Construction began in the early 1960s. Workers blasted hundreds of thousands of tons of granite from the mountain, creating enormous chambers hidden deep beneath the surface. Inside those chambers, massive steel buildings were constructed, not directly attached to the rock, but mounted on giant springs. It sounds almost unbelievable. Entire buildings sitting on enormous shock absorbers. Why? Because if a powerful shock wave reached the mountain, the spring-mounted structures could absorb much of the force, helping protect critical equipment inside. Even today, the engineering remains astonishing. The complex is protected by huge blast doors weighing many tons each. These aren't ordinary security doors. They were designed to withstand immense pressure from catastrophic events. Behind them stretches a network of tunnels, operations centers, communication facilities, power systems, medical areas, water supplies, and enough infrastructure to allow personnel to continue working even if the outside world became inaccessible. In many ways, it's a city hidden inside a mountain. One of its most important missions has long been aerospace warning. For decades, military personnel monitored radar systems, satellite data, and early warning networks capable of detecting missile launches or other threats approaching North America. Every second mattered. A delayed response could have unimaginable consequences. Although technology has evolved and many operations have expanded to other facilities over the years, Cheyenne Mountain continues to play an important role in national defense and emergency preparedness. Naturally, a place built for such critical missions attracted endless speculation. Some people believe the visible sections represent only a fraction of what actually exists. They imagine vast underground cities extending for miles beneath the Rockies. Secret laboratories. Hidden transportation systems. Advanced weapons testing. Undisclosed research projects. Others claim high-ranking government officials would shelter there during a global catastrophe. Some even suggest the complex maintains contact with unidentified aerial phenomena or stores classified technologies recovered from mysterious incidents. These theories have circulated for decades. Books. Television shows. Internet forums. Documentaries. Each adds another layer to the legend. Yet very little credible evidence supports the more extraordinary claims. The confirmed reality is already impressive enough. The complex was built with remarkable engineering to ensure continuity during one of history's most dangerous geopolitical periods. That alone makes it extraordinary. One fascinating detail often surprises visitors who learn about the facility. Because the buildings inside rest on giant springs, they're slightly separated from the surrounding rock. The mountain itself and the structures inside are not rigidly connected. It's an elegant engineering solution to an unimaginable problem. Few places on Earth were designed with that level of preparation. Security remains exceptionally tight. Public access is highly restricted. Sensitive areas remain off-limits. The exact details of many current operations are not publicly discussed. That secrecy isn't unusual for an active military installation. But every unanswered question naturally fuels public curiosity. Hollywood certainly noticed. Over the years, Cheyenne Mountain has appeared in countless movies, television series, novels, and video games. Sometimes it's portrayed as humanity's last refuge. Sometimes as a headquarters defending Earth from extraterrestrial threats. Other times it's shown as a gateway to hidden worlds beneath the planet. Fiction transformed the mountain into a symbol of ultimate secrecy. Yet standing outside the entrance today, you wouldn't see any of that. You'd see a quiet mountain. A heavily guarded gate. And the unmistakable feeling that beyond those walls lies a world few people will ever experience. Perhaps that's what makes places like Cheyenne Mountain so captivating. It's not only what's hidden. It's what the human mind imagines whenever information is incomplete. Mystery grows strongest where certainty ends. And mountains have always inspired legends. Long before military engineers carved tunnels through granite, ancient cultures believed mountains were homes of gods, gateways to other realms, or places where unimaginable treasures lay hidden beneath the earth. Cheyenne Mountain simply became the modern version of that timeless fascination. A fortress built not for kings, but for an uncertain future. And while this mountain was built to survive humanity's worst disasters, our next destination wasn't built at all. It formed naturally beneath the waters of the Pacific Ocean. Gigantic stone formations rise from the seafloor in perfect geometric patterns. Sharp angles. Massive terraces. Straight edges that seem almost impossible to explain. Some believe it is evidence of a forgotten civilization swallowed by the sea. Others insist nature alone created it. Even after decades of research, experts continue to debate one extraordinary question. Is the Yonaguni Monument an ancient underwater city, or one of nature's greatest illusions? More than 80 feet beneath the surface of the Pacific Ocean, where sunlight slowly fades into deep blue darkness, lies a place that has divided scientists, historians, and explorers for decades. At first glance, it doesn't look natural. Massive stone platforms rise from the ocean floor like giant staircases. Perfectly flat terraces stretch into the distance. Sharp 90-degree angles appear carved into solid rock. Towering walls stand beside what seem to be enormous steps leading toward nowhere. If you didn't know where you were, you might believe you were looking at the ruins of a lost civilization. Some have even called it Japan's Atlantis. The mystery lies just off the coast of Yonaguni, Japan's westernmost inhabited island. Ironically, this incredible discovery wasn't made by archaeologists. It was found by accident. In 1986, local diving instructor Kihachiro Aratake was searching the surrounding waters for schools of hammerhead sharks, hoping to discover new diving locations for tourists. Instead, he found something no one expected. Emerging from the seabed was an enormous stone structure unlike anything he had ever seen. Word spread quickly. Soon, divers from around the world descended into the waters surrounding Yonaguni, each hoping to solve the mystery for themselves. The first images left people speechless. Huge stone blocks appeared stacked one above another. Long straight pathways stretched across the seafloor. Large rectangular platforms resembled plazas. Some formations even looked remarkably similar to staircases. To many observers, one conclusion seemed obvious. This had to be ancient architecture. Supporters of that theory believe the monument may have been built thousands of years ago, before rising sea level submerged the area after the last ice age. If true, it would completely transform our understanding of early civilization. Some estimates suggest the site could be more than 10,000 years old. That would make it significantly older than Egypt's pyramids. Older than Stonehenge. Older than almost every known monumental structure on Earth. Imagine the implications. A sophisticated civilization capable of shaping enormous stone monuments long before conventional history says such engineering should have existed. It would rewrite archaeology forever. The excitement only grew stronger as divers discovered additional features. One formation resembles a massive archway. Another appears to be a broad ceremonial platform. There are channels that look almost like roads. Flat surfaces that seem intentionally smoothed. Some divers even claim to see shapes resembling carved faces or animals. Photographs spread across newspapers, documentaries, and the internet. The legend of the Yonaguni Monument was born. But not everyone agreed. Many geologists viewed the formations very differently. According to them, the monument is an extraordinary natural rock formation. Nothing more. The stone beneath Yonaguni consists primarily of sandstone and mudstone arranged in horizontal layers. Over countless thousands of years, earthquakes, tectonic movement, ocean currents, and natural erosion fractured these layers along predictable lines. Those fractures created remarkably straight edges and flat surfaces. Nature, they argued, can sometimes produce geometric patterns that appear surprisingly artificial. It's not impossible. In fact, similar formations exist elsewhere in the world. So why does Yonaguni look so convincing? Because the human brain is incredibly skilled at recognizing patterns. It's the same reason people sometimes see faces in clouds or animals in mountain cliffs. Our minds instinctively search for familiar shapes, even when none were intentionally created. Yet even among scientists, the debate refuses to disappear. Marine geologist Dr. Masaaki Kimura has spent decades studying the monument. He believes at least some sections may have been modified by ancient humans. Perhaps nature created the basic rock formations. And people later shaped certain areas. Other researchers strongly disagree, maintaining that there is no convincing archaeological evidence proving human construction. No tools have been recovered. No inscriptions have been found. No confirmed artifacts directly connected to the monument have emerged from the site. And that's what keeps the mystery alive. There is evidence supporting both perspectives. Enough to fuel endless discussion. But not enough to settle the argument. Diving at Yonaguni is an adventure in itself. Strong currents sweep across the underwater cliffs. Visibility changes rapidly. Only experienced divers are encouraged to explore the area safely. As they descend through the clear blue water, the enormous stone formations slowly emerge from the darkness. Many describe the experience as surreal. Floating above giant terraces feels less like visiting a natural reef. And more like drifting through the streets of an ancient city abandoned thousands of years ago. Silence surrounds everything. Only the sound of your own breathing echoes through your diving equipment. Every corner raises another question. Was this ledge carved by human hands? Or shaped by millions of years of geological forces? No one can say with absolute certainty. Perhaps that's why the monument has fascinated people for nearly 4 decades. It challenges something fundamental. Our confidence. We often believe history has already been mapped. That every great civilization has already been discovered. That every mystery has an answer waiting to be found. Yonaguni reminds us that the ocean still hides countless secrets. More than 70% of Earth's surface lies beneath water. Much of it remains unexplored. Entire landscapes have never been carefully studied. Unknown ecosystems continue to be discovered. Shipwrecks still emerge after centuries of silence. Who knows what else waits beneath the waves? Whether the Yonaguni monument is one of nature's greatest masterpieces or the forgotten work of an ancient civilization, it serves as a powerful reminder that mystery still exists in our modern world. Sometimes, the greatest discoveries don't answer old questions. They create entirely new ones. And while the ocean keeps its secrets beneath miles of water, our next destination guards its mystery high above the clouds. Perched on a nearly vertical mountaintop in the Himalayas stands a monastery so isolated that reaching it once required days of dangerous climbing. Few outsiders have ever entered. For centuries, monks have lived there in near total seclusion, surrounded by legends of hidden valleys, sacred relics, and spiritual knowledge passed down through generations. Welcome to one of the world's most inaccessible sanctuaries. Tiger's Nest Monastery. Some places are protected by soldiers. Some are protected by nature. But a few are protected by something far more powerful. Faith. Clinging impossibly to the edge of a sheer cliff nearly 3,000 feet above the valley floor, Tiger's Nest Monastery appears less like a building and more like a miracle. From a distance, it seems to float above the clouds. Its white walls glow beneath the Himalayan sun, while golden rooftops shimmer against towering gray cliffs. Colorful prayer flags dance endlessly in the mountain wind, carrying whispered prayers across valleys that have remained sacred for centuries. The monastery's official name is Paro Taksang. But almost everyone knows it simply as Tiger's Nest. Looking at its location, one question immediately comes to mind. How did anyone build something here? Even today, reaching the monastery requires a demanding climb through steep mountain trails, dense pine forests, and narrow pathways carved into the mountainside. There are no highways leading to its entrance. No elevators. No easy shortcuts. Every visitor must earn the journey. And for centuries, that difficult climb has served an important purpose. Not everyone is meant to arrive. According to Bhutanese tradition, the story of Tiger's Nest begins in the 8th century with Guru Padmasambhava, one of the most influential figures in Tibetan Buddhism. Legend says he didn't walk to this mountain. He flew here. Not aboard an aircraft. Not by climbing. But riding on the back of a flying tigress. The cave where he is believed to have meditated became one of the holiest sites in the Himalayas. Whether viewed as history or sacred legend, the story transformed this remote cliff into a destination of profound spiritual importance. For generations, monks made the difficult pilgrimage to this isolated sanctuary, believing the mountain itself possessed a rare spiritual energy. Silence became their companion. Isolation became their teacher. The outside world faded away. Inside the monastery, daily life follows traditions that have remained largely unchanged for hundreds of years. Prayer begins before sunrise. Incense fills ancient halls. Butter lamps flicker softly beneath centuries-old paintings. Monks spend hours in meditation, scripture, and quiet reflection. In a world obsessed with speed, Tiger's Nest exists at an entirely different rhythm. Time seems to lose its meaning. Yet despite its fame, large parts of the monastery remain inaccessible. Visitors are welcome only in designated areas. Photography inside many sacred chambers is strictly forbidden. Some meditation caves remain reserved exclusively for monks engaged in long periods of spiritual retreat. These aren't tourist attractions. They're places of deep religious significance. Respect comes before curiosity. That balance has helped preserve the monastery's sacred atmosphere despite growing international attention. The mountain itself presents another challenge. Every stone, every beam, every roof tile had to be transported to an almost impossible location. Long before helicopters existed, workers carried building materials along narrow cliffside paths using human strength and pack animals. The construction alone remains one of the greatest architectural achievements in Himalayan history. Then disaster struck. In 1998, a devastating fire swept through much of the monastery. Ancient buildings that had stood for centuries were reduced to ashes. Priceless artwork was destroyed. Historic relics were lost forever. For many people, it felt as though an irreplaceable piece of history had disappeared. But Bhutan refused to let that happen. Using traditional craftsmanship and historical records, artisans carefully rebuilt the monastery stone by stone. Years of painstaking work restored Tiger's Nest to its former glory. Today, many visitors cannot even distinguish the reconstructed sections from the original structures. It stands once again as a symbol of resilience, devotion, and cultural heritage. Perhaps what fascinates people most isn't simply the monastery itself. It's the feeling it creates. Standing on the viewing platform across the valley, watching clouds drift beneath the temple, many visitors describe an overwhelming sense of peace. The silence feels different here. The air feels different. Even those with no religious beliefs often find themselves speaking more quietly, almost instinctively respecting the sacred atmosphere surrounding the cliffs. Scientists may explain the mountain through geology. Historians may explain it through architecture. But millions continue to believe the monastery possesses something impossible to measure. A spiritual presence. Whether that feeling comes from faith, isolation, breathtaking scenery, or the weight of more than 1,000 years of tradition, depends entirely on the person standing there. Unlike many places on this list, Tiger's Nest isn't forbidden because it's dangerous. It's protected because some places deserve to remain sacred. Not every destination exists for entertainment. Some exist to preserve something far more valuable than photographs. They preserve meaning. And perhaps that's why Tiger's Nest continues inspiring everyone who catches even a distant glimpse of its impossible silhouette rising above the Himalayan cliffs. It reminds us that humanity's greatest achievements aren't always measured by size, wealth, or power. Sometimes they're measured by faith strong enough to build a sanctuary where the mountains meet the sky. But while Tiger's Nest guards centuries of spiritual devotion high above the clouds, our next destination lies buried beneath nearly 2 miles of Antarctic ice. No tourists can reach it. No one has ever seen it with their own eyes. Hidden beneath the frozen continent is a mysterious lake that remained completely isolated from the outside world for millions of years. A place scientists believe could hold clues about life on Earth. Or perhaps life beyond it. Lake Vostok. Beneath one of the coldest, harshest, and most unforgiving places on Earth lies a secret that remained untouched for millions of years. No sunlight has ever reached it. No human has ever swum in its waters. No fish have ever been seen. No photographs exist of what truly lies below. It is hidden beneath nearly 2.5 miles of solid Antarctic ice. A place so isolated that scientists often compare it to another world. Its name is Lake Vostok. At first, no one even knew it existed. For decades, researchers working in Antarctica believed they were standing on nothing but endless sheets of ancient ice. From every direction, the landscape appeared exactly the same. White. Silent. Frozen. It looked like an empty continent. But appearances can be deceiving. During the 1970s, aircraft equipped with ice-penetrating radar began scanning the frozen wilderness. The instruments revealed something impossible. Beneath thousands of feet of ice, there wasn't more ice. There was water. An enormous body of liquid water stretching for more than 150 miles. Scientists could hardly believe the results. How could a lake exist beneath ice thick enough to bury entire mountains? The answer lay deep below the frozen surface. Heat rising naturally from Earth's interior, combined with the immense pressure created by the ice above, prevented the water from freezing solid. The result was astonishing. A hidden lake completely sealed away from the outside world. Researchers estimate that Lake Vostok has remained isolated for at least 15 million years. Some studies even suggest it may have been separated for much longer. To understand what that means, imagine a world that has remained completely untouched since long before modern humans existed. While continents changed. While civilizations rose and fell. While dinosaurs had already become ancient history. This lake remained locked beneath Antarctica, hidden from everything happening above. It became a perfect natural time capsule. And with that realization came an extraordinary question. What if something is still alive down there? The possibility immediately fascinated scientists around the world. On the surface, Lake Vostok seems completely uninhabitable. The water exists in total darkness. Temperatures remain close to freezing. Pressure is hundreds of times greater than what humans experience at sea level. Nutrients are extremely limited. Yet life has repeatedly surprised science. Microorganisms have been discovered thriving near deep-sea hydrothermal vents, inside volcanic rocks, beneath glaciers, and in environments once thought impossible for survival. Could Lake Vostok contain its own unique ecosystem? Perhaps tiny microbes. Perhaps entirely new forms of life. Or perhaps nothing at all. The only way to know was to reach it. That proved far more difficult than anyone imagined. Drilling through more than 2 miles of ancient ice isn't simply an engineering challenge. It's also an ethical one. Scientists feared contaminating the pristine lake with modern bacteria or drilling fluids. If foreign microorganisms entered the water, they could permanently alter an ecosystem that had remained isolated for millions of years. One careless mistake could erase scientific evidence forever. Because of that risk, researchers spent years developing specialized drilling techniques designed to minimize contamination. Progress was painfully slow. Every meter required extraordinary precision. Finally, after decades of effort, Russian scientists announced in 2012 that they had reached the surface of Lake Vostok. The achievement made headlines across the world. But the mystery only deepened. Collecting uncontaminated samples proved incredibly difficult. Some early findings suggested the presence of microbial DNA. Others argued those results could have come from contamination introduced during drilling. The debate continues today. Scientists remain cautious. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. So far, no complex organisms have been confirmed. Yet the possibility continues to inspire research. Why? Because Lake Vostok offers more than a glimpse into Earth's past. It may also help answer one of humanity's greatest questions. Could life exist elsewhere in our solar system? Several of Jupiter's and Saturn's icy moons, including Europa and Enceladus, are believed to hide vast oceans beneath thick layers of ice. Those alien oceans share surprising similarities with Lake Vostok. Darkness. Extreme pressure. Isolation. If microscopic life can survive beneath Antarctica for millions of years, perhaps life could survive beneath the frozen crust of distant worlds as well. In that sense, every discovery beneath Antarctic ice becomes a rehearsal for future space exploration. Researchers aren't just studying Earth. They're learning how to search for life beyond it. Few people will ever come close to Lake Vostok. The Antarctic environment itself makes travel incredibly dangerous. Temperatures can plunge below -120 degrees Fahrenheit. Powerful winds sweep endlessly across the frozen landscape. Months of complete darkness dominate the winter season. Even reaching the research station above the lake requires enormous logistical planning. And accessing the water below remains restricted to carefully controlled scientific missions. There are no tourist expeditions. No diving adventures. No hidden entrance waiting to be explored. Only ice. Miles upon miles of ancient ice. Some mysteries reveal themselves quickly. Others demand patience measured not in years, but in generations. Lake Vostok reminds us that our planet still holds secrets beyond imagination. Even in an age of satellites, artificial intelligence, and advanced exploration technology, entire worlds remain hidden beneath our feet. Perhaps the greatest discovery of the future won't come from another planet. It may come from one we've been standing on all along. But while Lake Vostok hides beneath Antarctica's frozen wilderness, our next destination stands in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, surrounded by mystery instead of ice. An island covered with nearly 900 enormous stone faces, each weighing several tons. No one knows exactly how these giant statues were moved across the island. No one knows precisely why they were built. And despite centuries of research, the civilization that created them still guards many of its greatest secrets. Easter Island. Imagine sailing across thousands of miles of open ocean. For weeks, there is nothing but endless blue water in every direction. No cities. No ships. No sign of civilization. Then, on the horizon, a tiny volcanic island slowly appears. As you step onto its rugged shoreline, hundreds of enormous stone faces silently stare back at you. Each one is different. Each one was carved by hand. And each one has been standing watch for centuries. Welcome to Easter Island. Known to its indigenous people as Rapa Nui, this remote island lies in the southeastern Pacific Ocean, more than 2,000 miles from the nearest inhabited land. It is one of the most isolated inhabited islands on Earth. Its greatest mystery isn't where it is. It's how an ancient civilization managed to create one of history's most astonishing engineering achievements with such limited resources. Scattered across the island stand nearly 900 giant stone statues known as moai. Some are only a few feet tall. Others tower over 30 feet. The largest unfinished moai would have weighed more than 80 tons. To put that into perspective, that's heavier than a fully loaded tractor trailer. Yet these massive figures were carved centuries before modern machinery existed. No cranes. No steel cables. No engines. Just human hands. Every moai began its journey at the Reno Raraku volcanic quarry, where master craftsmen carefully carved the statues directly from the mountainside. Walking through the quarry today feels like entering an ancient sculpture workshop frozen in time. Hundreds of unfinished figures still remain exactly where the carvers left them. Some appear to be emerging from the rock itself. Others lie partially buried beneath centuries of soil. It's as though the workers simply vanished overnight. But carving the statues was only the beginning. The real mystery was moving them. Many moai traveled several miles from the quarry to ceremonial platforms called ahu, scattered around the island's coastline. Some crossed steep hills. Others passed through rocky terrain. Considering their enormous size and weight, the question seems almost impossible. How? For generations, researchers proposed different explanations. Some believed giant wooden sleds were used. Others suggested rolling logs. Several theories required thousands of workers pulling with thick ropes. Then came an idea that sounded almost unbelievable. What if the statues walked? Not by themselves, of course. But by carefully rocking them from side to side using ropes. In 2012, a team of researchers demonstrated that a replica moai could indeed be moved upright using coordinated pulling from 3 different directions. Watching the experiment was astonishing. The giant statue appeared to shuffle forward with each controlled movement, almost as if it were taking slow, deliberate steps. Interestingly, local oral traditions had long claimed that the moai walked to their destinations through spiritual power. While science explains the movement differently, the ancient stories may have contained a surprising hint of truth all along. But why build them? That's another mystery. Most archaeologists believe the statues represented important ancestors or respected leaders. Rather than worshipping the stone itself, the people honored those who had come before them. The moai symbolized protection, wisdom, and the continuing presence of ancestral spirits watching over the community. One fascinating detail often goes unnoticed. Most statues face inland. Not toward the sea. They appear to be watching over the villages they once protected rather than looking outward toward approaching visitors. Only a handful face the ocean. Their silent gaze has remained unchanged for centuries. Despite their massive size, many people don't realize the famous stone heads actually have bodies. Over time, wind, rain, and volcanic soil gradually buried much of the lower sections beneath the ground. Excavations have revealed complete torsos decorated with intricate carvings hidden below the surface. The iconic heads seen in photographs represent only part of each remarkable sculpture. As European explorers eventually reached Easter Island, they encountered a society very different from the one that had built the towering monuments. Many statues had already been toppled. Communities struggled with conflict. Population numbers had declined dramatically. For years, a popular theory claimed the island's inhabitants destroyed their own environment by cutting down every tree, leading to ecological collapse. More recent research paints a far more complex picture. Scientists now believe multiple factors likely contributed to the island's hardships. Environmental change. Introduced diseases. Slave raids during the 19th century. Outside contact. Social challenges. Rather than a simple story of self-destruction, Easter Island reflects the complicated relationship between people, nature, and history. Even today, the island continues revealing new discoveries. Advanced technologies like laser scanning, satellite mapping, and ground-penetrating radar have uncovered hidden structures, ancient roads, agricultural systems, and previously unknown archaeological sites. Every new discovery answers one question and raises several more. Who were the master craftsmen whose skills produced these extraordinary monuments? How was knowledge passed from one generation to the next? What ceremonies took place beneath the towering moai? And how many secrets remain buried beneath the island's volcanic soil? Visitors can explore parts of Easter Island today, but strict protections help preserve its fragile archaeological heritage. Climbing on the statues is prohibited. Many sensitive areas are carefully monitored. Conservation experts work continuously to protect the monuments from erosion, weather, and the passage of time. After all, these silent guardians have survived for hundreds of years. Their future now depends on the choices we make. As the sun sinks below the Pacific, long shadows stretch across the ancient stone faces. The wind whispers through the grass. The ocean crashes endlessly against volcanic cliffs. And the moai continue watching. Just as they have for centuries. Patient. Silent. Unmoving. Perhaps one day every mystery surrounding Easter Island will finally be solved. Or perhaps some secrets were never meant to speak. But while the moai have stood beneath open skies for hundreds of years, our next destination has remained hidden beneath the sands of Egypt for more than 4,000 years. A place so sacred that even today, only a handful of people are ever allowed inside. A chamber sealed to protect one of humanity's greatest architectural wonders. And the mysteries still sleeping deep within the Great Pyramid of Giza. For more than 4,500 years, it has watched empires rise and crumble into dust. It has survived earthquakes, invasions, wars, and the relentless passage of time. Millions of people have stood before it. Thousands have studied it. Yet one simple question continues to puzzle the world's greatest minds. How did an ancient civilization build something so extraordinary? Standing on the Giza Plateau just outside modern-day Cairo, the Great Pyramid dominates the desert like a mountain created by human hands. Even in an age of skyscrapers and advanced engineering, its sheer size is breathtaking. Originally standing nearly 481 feet tall, it remained the tallest man-made structure on Earth for almost 4,000 years. Think about that for a moment. For millennia. No cathedral. No castle. No monument. Nothing surpassed it until the Middle Ages. Its construction is generally attributed to Pharaoh Khufu, who ruled during Egypt's 4th dynasty around 2560 BC. But while history tells us who commissioned the pyramid, it still leaves behind countless mysteries. The Great Pyramid consists of an estimated 2.3 million stone blocks. Some weigh 2 or 3 tons. Others, especially those used in the king's chamber, weigh more than 70 tons. Together, the entire structure weighs approximately 6 million tons. And somehow, ancient builders assembled every single block with astonishing precision. Modern engineers continue to admire its accuracy. The base is almost perfectly level. Its sides align remarkably close to the cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west. The margin of error is astonishingly small. Even with today's surveying equipment, achieving such precision on a project of this scale would demand extraordinary planning. So how did people thousands of years ago accomplish it? No one knows with complete certainty. Several theories exist. Most archaeologists believe teams of skilled workers used carefully designed ramps, sledges, ropes, and remarkable organization to move the massive stones. Recent discoveries suggest that workers may have poured water over desert sand to reduce friction, making it easier to pull heavy loads. Evidence also shows that the builders were not enslaved laborers, as popular myths once claimed. Excavations have uncovered workers' villages complete with bakeries, living quarters, medical care, and cemeteries. These people appear to have been highly organized laborers who were fed, housed, and respected for their work. Even so, many questions remain unanswered. Exactly what kind of ramp system was used? How were the heaviest granite blocks lifted so high? How did builders maintain such incredible accuracy over decades of construction? Those details remain the subject of ongoing research. The mysteries don't end with the exterior. Inside the pyramid lies a complex network of narrow passages, chambers, and hidden spaces. Visitors who enter today walk through long corridors barely wide enough for a person to pass. The air grows warmer. The silence becomes almost overwhelming. Every stone surrounding you was placed more than 4,000 years ago. At the heart of the structure lies the king's chamber. There, an empty granite sarcophagus rests quietly beneath enormous stone beams designed to support the crushing weight above. Curiously, no confirmed mummy of Pharaoh Khufu was ever found inside. That absence has fueled endless speculation. Was the burial chamber robbed in ancient times? Was the pharaoh buried somewhere else? Or has the true burial chamber never been discovered? In 2017, scientists made headlines with an astonishing discovery. Using advanced cosmic ray imaging, a technique that detects tiny particles naturally passing through stone, they identified a massive hidden void inside the Great Pyramid. The space appears to be at least 100 feet long. Yet no one knows exactly what it is. A hidden chamber? A construction corridor? An engineering feature designed to reduce weight? No one has entered it. No one has seen inside. Its purpose remains unknown. For many people, discoveries like this only deepen the mystery. If such a large hidden space could remain undetected for thousands of years, what else might still be concealed within the pyramid? Naturally, the Great Pyramid has inspired countless extraordinary theories. Some claim it was built with the help of lost civilizations. Others suggest advanced technology beyond what ancient Egyptians possessed. Perhaps the most famous theory proposes extraterrestrial involvement. The enormous stones. The precise alignment. The engineering. To some, it seems impossible without outside assistance. But despite decades of speculation, there is no credible archaeological evidence supporting those claims. Every year, researchers uncover more evidence demonstrating the remarkable skill, organization, and ingenuity of ancient Egyptian builders. Their achievements become even more impressive precisely because they accomplished them using the tools available at the time. Reality, it turns out, is extraordinary enough. Still, the pyramid continues to surprise experts. Tiny shafts leading from interior chambers remain only partially understood. Previously unknown inscriptions occasionally emerge during restoration work. Advanced scanning technologies continue revealing details invisible to earlier generations. Even after centuries of exploration, humanity is still learning from this ancient monument. Access to certain parts of the pyramid is carefully controlled. Many chambers remain closed to the general public to protect the fragile structure. Researchers require special authorization to conduct scientific investigations. Every new study balances curiosity with preservation. After all, once history is damaged, it cannot be replaced. Perhaps that's the greatest lesson the Great Pyramid teaches us. Some mysteries aren't solved all at once. They reveal themselves slowly. One discovery. One generation. One question at a time. As evening falls across the Giza Plateau, the last rays of sunlight paint the pyramid in shades of gold and amber. For a brief moment, it looks almost exactly as it did thousands of years ago. Empires have disappeared. Languages have changed. Civilizations have transformed. Yet the Great Pyramid remains. Silent. Enduring. still guarding secrets buried deep within its ancient stone walls. And while Egypt's greatest monument has challenged historians for centuries, our next destination is surrounded not by desert, but by dense forests so untouched that almost no human has ever explored them. Hidden within the mountains of China lies a mysterious valley where strange disappearances, bizarre compass failures, and unexplained legends have earned it a chilling nickname. China's Bermuda Triangle, the Black Bamboo Forest. There are forests that inspire peace. There are forests that inspire wonder. And then there are forests where even experienced travelers refuse to wander alone. Deep within China's Sichuan province lies a place wrapped in dense bamboo, thick mountain fog, and stories that have unsettled people for generations. Locals call it the Black Bamboo Forest, or Heizhou Valley. To outsiders, it appears beautiful. Towering bamboo sways gently in the wind. Crystal clear streams flow between moss-covered rocks. Birdsong echoes through the trees. Sunlight filters through the towering stalks, creating a landscape that seems almost magical. But spend enough time listening to the people who live nearby, and you'll hear a very different story. For decades, the Black Bamboo Forest has been surrounded by tales of mysterious disappearances. Hunters, woodcutters, travelers. According to local legends, some entered the forest and were never seen again. Others supposedly returned confused, unable to explain where they had been or how they became lost. Whether every story is historically accurate is difficult to verify. Many have been passed down through generations, growing more dramatic with each retelling. But one thing is certain. The forest's reputation has endured for decades. And that reputation alone has kept many people away. The mystery deepened during the 20th century. Reports circulated claiming that survey teams and explorers occasionally disappeared while working in the region. Some accounts suggested entire groups vanished without leaving obvious traces. These stories quickly spread through newspapers, books, and television documentaries, earning the forest an unsettling nickname. China's Bermuda Triangle. The comparison was impossible to ignore. Two places, thousands of miles apart, yet both linked by stories of people disappearing under mysterious circumstances. Naturally, theories began to emerge. Some believed supernatural forces guarded the forest. Others spoke of spirits leading travelers deeper into the bamboo before they vanished forever. There were stories of hidden portals, ancient curses, even strange creatures lurking beyond the mist. As the legend spread, so did public curiosity. Could there really be something unexplainable hiding inside the forest? Scientists eventually decided to investigate. Their conclusions were far less supernatural, but no less fascinating. The Black Bamboo Forest sits in a region with highly unpredictable weather. Dense fog can appear with astonishing speed. One moment the trail ahead is perfectly visible. Minutes later, visibility may shrink to only a few feet. Imagine hiking through towering bamboo where every direction suddenly looks identical. Every path appears the same. Every tree resembles the last. Without modern navigation equipment, becoming disoriented would be surprisingly easy. The forest's terrain adds another challenge. Steep slopes, hidden ravines, loose rocks, thick vegetation. A simple wrong turn can quickly become dangerous. What initially feels like a short walk may turn into hours of searching for the correct path. Even experienced hikers have admitted that the forest can be incredibly confusing. Then there's the weather. Heavy rainfall frequently makes trails slippery. Strong winds can knock down bamboo stalks, blocking familiar routes. Low clouds settle between the mountains, creating an eerie silence that makes it difficult to judge distance or direction. Some researchers have also suggested that natural gases released from decaying vegetation in certain low-lying areas could occasionally contribute to dizziness or disorientation, although evidence for this remains limited and conditions vary throughout the forest. None of these explanations are supernatural. But together, they create an environment where accidents become far more likely. Yet mystery has a way of surviving even after science offers reasonable answers. Visitors continue reporting strange experiences. Many describe an overwhelming silence that seems almost unnatural. Others say they constantly feel as though someone is watching them from deep within the bamboo. Some claim their sense of direction suddenly disappears, even while following marked trails. Psychologists have an explanation for this. Humans rely heavily on recognizable landmarks. Inside a bamboo forest, those landmarks almost disappear. Tall green stalks stretch endlessly in every direction. The repeating scenery confuses the brain's natural ability to judge movement and orientation. Without realizing it, people may begin walking in circles. Fear then amplifies every unfamiliar sound. Every creaking branch. Every gust of wind. Every distant animal call. The forest itself becomes part of the illusion. But perhaps that's exactly why the black bamboo forest continues capturing imaginations around the world. Unlike many mysterious places, its greatest weapon isn't poison. Or radiation. Or armed security. It's uncertainty. Because uncertainty allows imagination to flourish. Every unexplained disappearance becomes another legend. Every strange sound becomes another mystery. Every layer of fog hides another unanswered question. Today, visitors can explore designated sections of the forest with local guides. Marked trails and improved navigation have made the area significantly safer than in the past. Even so, authorities strongly encourage hikers to stay on established paths and avoid venturing into remote areas alone. The forest deserves respect. Not because it's cursed, but because nature can be unpredictable. As evening approaches, shadows stretch between the towering bamboo. Mist slowly rises from the valleys. The wind whispers through millions of hollow stalks, creating a haunting melody unlike anywhere else on earth. Standing there, surrounded by endless green walls, it's easy to understand how legends were born. Sometimes, the greatest mysteries aren't created by monsters. They're created by places so unfamiliar that our own minds begin filling the silence with fear. And while the black bamboo forest hides its secrets behind endless walls of bamboo, our next destination lies beneath the scorching sands of Africa. A place marked on ancient maps. Whispered about by explorers. And sought for centuries by treasure hunters. A city said to have been so unimaginably wealthy that its streets glittered with gold. Many believe it disappeared forever. Others insist it is still waiting to be found beneath the desert. The legend of the lost city of Zerzura. Every great civilization leaves something behind. A monument. A temple. A forgotten road. But what if an entire city simply disappeared? Not destroyed by war. Not swallowed by the sea. Not buried beneath volcanic ash. Simply, gone. For centuries, explorers crossing the endless Sahara Desert heard whispers of a place unlike any other. A city hidden beyond the dunes. Filled with white stone buildings that shimmered beneath the desert sun. Palm trees surrounding crystal-clear springs. Treasures beyond imagination. Its name was Zerzura. And to this day, no one can say for certain whether it was ever real. The legend first appeared in medieval Arabic manuscripts dating back hundreds of years. These ancient texts described a mysterious oasis hidden somewhere deep within Egypt's western desert. Unlike ordinary desert settlements, Zerzura was said to be extraordinarily beautiful. Its walls were built from brilliant white stone. Its streets were lined with gardens. Fresh water flowed through the city while endless dunes surrounded it in every direction. Some stories claim that birds always circled above the oasis, guiding only the fortunate toward its hidden location. Others warned that anyone searching for Zerzura would disappear before ever reaching it. As the centuries passed, the legend only grew stronger. Merchants traveling across North Africa exchanged stories around campfires. Nomads spoke of strange valleys concealed behind towering cliffs. Treasure hunters became convinced that Zerzura protected unimaginable wealth. Gold, jewels, ancient manuscripts, forgotten temples. Every storyteller added another piece to the mystery. Yet no one could provide proof. By the early 20th century, the search became more than folklore. It became an obsession. European explorers studying the Sahara believed there might be truth hidden beneath the legend. After all, the desert had surprised historians before. Ancient caravan routes had been rediscovered. Long-lost temples had emerged from drifting sands. Entire civilizations once thought mythical had eventually been found. Why couldn't Zerzura be waiting somewhere beyond the horizon? One of the most determined explorers was Laszlo Almasi, a Hungarian adventurer whose expeditions carried him deep into one of Earth's harshest environments. The Sahara is difficult enough to cross today. Imagine attempting it nearly a century ago. No GPS. No satellite maps. No rescue helicopters. Only primitive vehicles, unreliable equipment, paper maps, and endless uncertainty. Every expedition risked dehydration, mechanical failure, violent sandstorms, and getting hopelessly lost. The desert showed no mercy. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. Still, the explorers continued searching. Then something extraordinary happened. During the 1930s, Almasi and other explorers discovered remote valleys hidden within the Gilf Kabir Plateau. Towering cliffs surrounded these isolated landscapes, protecting them from the shifting sands outside. Inside one cave, researchers made an astonishing discovery. Ancient rock paintings. Among them were figures that appeared to be swimming. The images became famous as the Cave of Swimmers. But there was a problem. Today, the surrounding landscape is one of the driest places on Earth. There are no lakes. No rivers. Almost no rainfall. So why would prehistoric people paint swimmers in the middle of one of the world's largest deserts? The answer completely transformed scientists' understanding of the Sahara. Thousands of years ago, this endless desert looked nothing like it does today. It was green. Grassland stretched across the landscape. Lakes covered vast regions. Hippos, crocodiles, elephants, giraffes, and countless other animals roamed areas that are now buried beneath sand. Human communities flourished where today almost nothing survives. Suddenly, the legend of a hidden oasis no longer seemed impossible. Perhaps stories of Zerzura were distant memories passed down through generations. Maybe ancient travelers preserved fragments of a landscape that had vanished as the climate changed. Or perhaps the legend combined real locations with centuries of imagination. No one knows. Despite decades of searching, no city matching the descriptions of Zerzura has ever been confirmed. Yet discoveries continue. Satellite imagery has revealed buried river systems beneath the Sahara. Ground-penetrating radar has identified traces of ancient settlements hidden beneath sand. Archaeologists regularly uncover evidence proving that the desert once supported thriving civilizations. Every new discovery raises another question. How many more remain hidden? The Sahara covers more than 3 million square miles. Much of it remains extremely difficult to explore. Shifting dunes can bury entire archaeological sites within years. Ancient roads disappear beneath wind-blown sand. What lies beneath today's desert may remain hidden for centuries. Technology is changing that. Modern satellites can detect subtle changes beneath the surface. Artificial intelligence helps identify patterns invisible to the human eye. Researchers are mapping landscapes that no explorer could have imagined 100 years ago. Perhaps one day, those tools will reveal evidence of Zerzura. Or perhaps they will prove the city never existed at all. Even if Zerzura turns out to be nothing more than legend, its influence is undeniable. It inspired generations of explorers to venture into one of the planet's most dangerous environments. Some discovered ancient caves. Others uncovered forgotten trade routes. Many expanded humanity's understanding of one of Earth's greatest deserts. In that sense, the legend accomplished something remarkable. It led people toward real discoveries. As twilight settles across the Sahara, the dunes begin changing color. Golden sand becomes deep orange. Then crimson. Finally, the desert fades into darkness beneath a sky overflowing with stars. The silence is overwhelming. Standing there, it's easy to believe that somewhere beyond the next horizon, a forgotten city still waits. Hidden. Patient. Undiscovered. Perhaps some mysteries survive because they were never meant to be solved. Or perhaps they're simply waiting for the right explorer. But while Zerzura may still lie hidden beneath endless sand, our next destination isn't hidden at all. It stands in plain sight in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Yet despite being one of the most famous islands on Earth, its towering cliffs remain almost completely off-limits. No roads. No airports. Almost no permanent residents. And one of the strictest visitor restrictions anywhere on the planet. Next, we journey to the breathtaking, and fiercely protected Niihau, the Forbidden Island. From the air, it looks like paradise. Golden beaches stretch for miles without a single hotel in sight. Towering cliffs rise from the Pacific Ocean, untouched by crowded resorts or busy highways. The turquoise water is so clear that coral reefs can be seen from thousands of feet above. It looks exactly like the kind of tropical island travelers dream about. But there's one problem. You almost certainly won't be allowed to go there. This is Niihau. Often called the Forbidden Island. Located just 17 miles southwest of Kauai, Hawaii, Niihau has remained one of the most isolated inhabited islands in the United States for more than 150 years. Unlike neighboring Hawaiian islands that welcome millions of tourists every year, Niihau exists in an entirely different world. No cruise ships dock along its shores. No vacation resorts line its beaches. No crowds gather to watch the sunset. Most Americans have never even heard of it. And those who have usually ask the same question. Why is an entire island off limits? The story begins in 1864. That year, King Kamehameha V sold Niihau to Elizabeth Sinclair, a Scottish woman who had moved to Hawaii with her family. The agreement was unusual. Rather than turning the island into a commercial destination, the Sinclair family chose to preserve it. Generation after generation, ownership remained within the same family. Even today, Niihau is still privately owned. Over the decades, something remarkable happened. While the rest of Hawaii transformed into one of the world's most popular tourist destinations, Niihau remained largely untouched. Its small community continued living in relative isolation. Many residents still speak Hawaiian as their first language. In fact, Niihau is considered one of the few places where the Hawaiian language has been preserved in daily conversation for generations. For linguists and historians, the island is an invaluable cultural treasure. It's a living connection to Hawaii's past. Electricity is limited. There are no traffic lights. No large shopping centers. No fast food restaurants. Life moves at a pace that disappeared from much of the modern world decades ago. Fishing. Hunting. Traditional crafts. Community gatherings. Many families continue practices handed down through generations. That quiet way of life is exactly what the island's owners have worked so hard to protect. Unlike many places on this list, Niihau isn't closed because it's dangerous. It's protected because its people value privacy. Tourism has transformed countless destinations around the world. Economic opportunities often come with cultural change. Languages disappear. Traditions fade. Communities evolve. For Niihau's residents, preserving their unique way of life has always taken priority over attracting millions of visitors. That doesn't mean absolutely no one ever enters the island. A small number of carefully managed hunting excursions and limited helicopter tours have occasionally been permitted under strict conditions. These visits are tightly controlled and do not provide unrestricted access to residential areas. Most of the island remains inaccessible to the general public. Unless you're a resident or have special permission, you won't be setting foot there. Niihau's isolation has also played unexpected roles throughout history. During World War II, shortly after the attack on Pearl Harbor, a Japanese pilot crash landed on the island. The events that followed became known as the Niihau Incident, an episode that revealed just how isolated the community truly was. With limited communication and no immediate military presence, residents faced an extraordinary situation entirely on their own. The incident remains an important chapter in both Hawaiian and American history. Beyond its people, Niihau also protects fragile ecosystems. Native plants and wildlife have survived here with far less human disturbance than on many neighboring islands. Conservation efforts continue to safeguard endangered species and sensitive habitats that could easily be damaged by large-scale tourism. In many ways, the island serves two purposes at once. It protects a culture. And it protects nature. Naturally, mystery surrounds any place that outsiders rarely see. Over the years, countless rumors have spread across the internet. Some claim secret government facilities exist there. Others imagine hidden tunnels beneath the island or forgotten archaeological treasures waiting to be discovered. There is no credible evidence supporting these stories. The real reason for Niihau's restricted access is far simpler. Respect. Respect for private property. Respect for cultural heritage. Respect for a community that has chosen a different path from the rest of the modern world. Perhaps that's harder for many people to understand today. We live in an era where almost every destination can be explored online. Every mountain has drone footage. Every beach has thousands of photographs. Every famous landmark has millions of visitors. Niihau reminds us that not every place wants to become part of that world. Some places choose silence over attention. Privacy over popularity. Preservation over profit. As the evening sun disappears beyond the Pacific, waves continue crashing against Niihau's empty shoreline. The stars appear one by one above the island, just as they have for countless generations. Far from crowded cities and flashing cameras, life continues quietly. Unchanged. Unhurried. Protected. Sometimes, the rarest destination isn't the one hidden by mountains or buried beneath the earth. Sometimes, it's simply the one that chooses not to open its doors. But while Niihau remains closed to protect a living culture, our next destination is closed because of something far more unsettling. Hidden beneath the frozen Arctic lies a military base abandoned decades ago. Inside, toxic waste, radioactive materials, and secrets from the Cold War remain trapped beneath layers of ice that are slowly beginning to melt. A place once described as a scientific outpost, but later revealed to have a far more controversial purpose. Camp Century. At first glance, it looked like one of humanity's greatest scientific achievements. A research station buried beneath the endless ice of Greenland. Engineers described it as a bold experiment. Scientists called it the future of Arctic exploration. The public believed it was built to study snow, ice, and the harsh polar environment. But decades later, the world learned that science was only part of the story. Hidden beneath the frozen surface was a Cold War project so ambitious, and so secret, that it sounded like something straight out of a spy novel. Its name was Camp Century. In the late 1950s, the Cold War had pushed the United States and the Soviet Union into a dangerous race unlike anything the world had ever witnessed. Both nations were preparing for the possibility of nuclear war. Military planners searched for new ways to protect their forces while maintaining the ability to respond instantly if conflict erupted. The Arctic suddenly became one of the most strategically important regions on Earth. Its vast frozen landscape offered something few other places could. Distance, isolation, and concealment. In 1959, the U.S. Army began constructing Camp Century beneath the Greenland ice sheet. This wasn't a simple collection of tents. It was an underground city. Workers carved more than 20 tunnels into the ice using enormous snow-cutting machines. The tunnels stretched for nearly 2 miles beneath the surface. Inside them were living quarters, laboratories, workshops, a hospital, a chapel, a movie theater, a library, dining halls. Even a small recreation area where soldiers could relax after long shifts. Everything needed to support daily life existed beneath thousands of tons of ice. Walking through the tunnels must have felt surreal. Instead of concrete walls, there were walls made entirely of compressed snow and ice. The temperature outside often dropped far below zero. Yet inside, life continued almost normally. At the center of the base stood something even more extraordinary. A portable nuclear reactor. Known as PM-2A, it supplied electricity and heat to the entire underground complex. It was one of the first nuclear reactors ever used to power such a remote military installation. For a while, the project appeared to be an incredible success. Newspapers praised the engineering. Photographs showed smiling soldiers living comfortably beneath the Arctic wilderness. Camp Century became a symbol of American innovation. But behind the scenes, another mission was quietly unfolding. One the public knew nothing about. It carried the code name Project Iceworm. The official purpose of Camp Century was scientific research. The classified purpose was dramatically different. Military planners envisioned building an enormous network of tunnels stretching thousands of miles beneath Greenland's ice. Within those tunnels, hundreds of nuclear missiles would be hidden. Constantly moving. Nearly impossible for an enemy to locate. If war ever broke out, those missiles could be launched from beneath the ice before anyone knew where they were. It was one of the most ambitious military proposals ever imagined. On paper, it seemed brilliant. In reality, nature had other plans. Engineers soon discovered something they had underestimated. Ice isn't solid like rock. It moves. Slowly. Relentlessly. Every day, the Greenland ice sheet shifted under its own incredible weight. Tunnel walls began bending. Ceilings sagged. Doorways warped. Floors twisted. Structures that looked perfectly stable 1 month required major repairs only months later. The mountain of ice above the base was literally crushing it. No amount of engineering could stop it. The Arctic itself was winning. Eventually, military planners realized Project Iceworm could never succeed. Maintaining thousands of miles of missile tunnels beneath constantly shifting ice was simply impossible. The dream quietly died. Camp Century was officially abandoned in 1967. Personnel packed their equipment. The nuclear reactor was removed. The entrances disappeared beneath drifting snow. For decades, the base faded into history. Or so everyone believed. Then came an unexpected discovery. Scientists studying climate change realized something alarming. The Greenland ice sheet wasn't remaining frozen forever. It was melting. As temperatures gradually increased, researchers began asking a disturbing question. What exactly had been left behind beneath the ice? The answer surprised many people. Although the reactor itself had been removed, other materials remained buried. Construction debris. Fuel. Wastewater. Chemical contaminants. Some studies estimated that large quantities of hazardous material were still trapped within the abandoned tunnels. When Camp Century was built, engineers assumed the ice sheet would permanently preserve everything beneath it. They never imagined that future warming might eventually expose those forgotten remains. Suddenly, a military project abandoned decades earlier became an environmental concern for the 21st century. Scientists continue monitoring the region carefully. Exactly when, or even if, the buried waste could become exposed remains uncertain. Much depends on how the Greenland ice sheet changes in the coming decades. Camp Century has become an unexpected reminder that today's decisions can echo far into the future. Naturally, secrecy surrounding the base inspired countless conspiracy theories. Some people claimed hidden nuclear weapons were still buried beneath the ice. Others imagined secret laboratories conducting classified experiments. There were even stories about underground cities that continued operating long after the official closure. No credible evidence supports these claims. The confirmed history is fascinating enough. A hidden city beneath the ice. A nuclear-powered military base. A classified missile project. And an engineering experiment ultimately defeated by nature itself. Ironically, Camp Century also contributed to scientific knowledge. Researchers drilling through the Greenland ice recovered deep ice cores containing ancient layers of snow. Those samples became invaluable records of Earth's past climate, helping scientists better understand how our planet has changed over hundreds of thousands of years. Even a military installation ended up advancing climate science. Today, Camp Century remains buried beneath layers of ice and snow. Invisible from above. Silent below. Most people flying over Greenland have no idea that an abandoned underground world rests beneath them. Its tunnels continue slowly deforming under the enormous pressure of the ice sheet. Its story remains frozen in time. Waiting. Perhaps that's what makes Camp Century so unforgettable. It wasn't hidden to protect treasure. Or ancient secrets. Or forgotten civilizations. It was hidden because the Cold War demanded absolute secrecy. And decades later, the ice is still guarding its secrets. But while Camp Century lies trapped beneath Greenland's frozen wilderness, our next destination rises from the waters of the Black Sea. An island so heavily restricted that approaching it without permission can lead to immediate detention. Its rocky cliffs hide one of Europe's oldest military strongholds, surrounded by legends of hidden tunnels, buried treasure, and centuries of conflict. Welcome to the mysterious Snake Island of the Black Sea. Legends have a strange way of surviving. Even when empires disappear. Even when borders change. Even when history itself is rewritten. Some stories refuse to die. Rising from the dark waters of the Black Sea is a small rocky island that has fascinated sailors, soldiers, and historians for thousands of years. At first glance, it doesn't seem extraordinary. There are no dense forests. No towering mountains. No ancient cities covering its surface. Just a lonely island surrounded by restless waves. Yet beneath its rocky cliffs lies a history filled with myths, battles, and mysteries that continue to capture imaginations today. This is Snake Island. Known in Ukraine as Zmyny Island, this isolated outcrop sits roughly 20 miles from the nearest coastline. Its remote location made it strategically valuable for centuries. Whoever controlled the island could monitor important shipping routes across the Black Sea. But long before modern military bases appeared here, ancient civilizations believed this island belonged to the gods. According to Greek mythology, Snake Island was closely connected to Achilles, the legendary warrior of the Trojan War. After his death, ancient writers claimed that the gods carried Achilles to this island, where his spirit would live forever. Some even described a magnificent white temple standing upon its rocky surface. Sailors crossing the Black Sea often left offerings there, hoping to receive safe passage through dangerous waters. For centuries, the island became one of the most sacred places in the region. Ancient travelers reported hearing mysterious sounds carried across the sea. Some believed they were the voices of spirits. Others claimed they were the whispers of Achilles himself. Whether those stories reflected genuine belief or imaginative storytelling, they helped transform this tiny island into one of antiquity's greatest legends. Archaeologists later confirmed that a temple dedicated to Achilles once stood on the island. Although little remains today, fragments of walls, inscriptions, and ancient artifacts reveal that pilgrims really did visit this isolated place more than 2,000 years ago. The myth may have grown over time, but its roots were real. As centuries passed, the island changed hands countless times. Greek colonies, Roman forces, the Byzantine Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the Russian Empire. Each left behind pieces of its own history. Each recognized the island's strategic importance. Because controlling Snake Island meant controlling an important gateway across the Black Sea. Military fortifications gradually replaced sacred temples. Observation posts replaced places of worship. The island's role evolved from spiritual sanctuary to strategic fortress. Today, access remains heavily restricted. Not because of ancient myths, but because of modern security concerns. Its location continues to make it strategically significant. Unauthorized visitors cannot simply land on its shores. Military regulations and regional security conditions mean that approaching the island without permission is prohibited. Yet restriction has only fueled curiosity. Stories soon emerged describing hidden tunnels beneath the rocky surface. Secret storage chambers. Buried wartime treasures. Forgotten bunkers connecting different parts of the island. Some claimed enormous underground facilities remained sealed beneath the cliffs. Others imagined lost artifacts from ancient Greece still waiting to be discovered beneath collapsed ruins. So far, no credible evidence has confirmed these extraordinary claims. But the island's long military history makes such stories difficult to dismiss entirely. After all, generations of soldiers occupied this tiny piece of land. Fortifications were expanded. Structures were rebuilt. Defensive positions evolved as technology changed. Many wartime installations still remain scattered across the island. Some visible. Others long abandoned. Then came one of the most dramatic moments in the island's modern history. During the early days of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Snake Island suddenly became the focus of worldwide attention. A radio exchange involving Ukrainian border guards defending the island spread rapidly across the globe. The words spoken during that moment quickly became a symbol of resistance for many people. In the months that followed, control of the island changed as the conflict evolved. The events reminded the world that even the smallest places can carry enormous strategic importance. While historians study its ancient past, military analysts continue examining its modern significance. Very few islands have experienced such a remarkable journey through history. From mythical sanctuary to sacred temple to naval fortress to international headline, Snake Island has constantly reinvented itself. And perhaps that's why its mystery endures. Standing on its rocky cliffs today, surrounded by endless water in every direction, it's easy to understand why ancient sailors filled the island with legends. Isolation has a powerful effect on the human imagination. Every crashing wave sounds different. Every distant shadow seems unusual. Every abandoned structure invites another question. Was there once a magnificent temple here? Did pilgrims really travel across dangerous seas to honor Achilles? Could undiscovered ruins still lie beneath the rocky ground? Some questions have answers. Others continue waiting. As evening settles over the Black Sea, the island slowly disappears into darkness. The lighthouse begins sweeping its beam across the water. Waves continue striking the cliffs just as they have for thousands of years. History remains etched into every stone. Silent. Weathered. Enduring. Snake Island reminds us that mystery doesn't always come from what we cannot see. Sometimes it comes from the countless stories left behind by those who came before us. And while this isolated island has witnessed thousands of years of human history, our next destination has witnessed almost none. Hidden deep within the Amazon rainforest lies a place so isolated that large portions have never been fully explored. A region where dense jungle, dangerous wildlife, and uncontacted indigenous communities have kept outsiders away for centuries. A place many maps still describe with surprising uncertainty. Vale du Javari. There are still places on Earth where satellites cannot reveal every secret. Where rivers disappear beneath endless rainforest. Where entire regions remain so wild that even experienced explorers think twice before entering. Where nature, not humanity, still makes the rules. Hidden deep within the western Amazon, near the borders of Peru and Colombia, lies one of the most isolated places on the planet. A place so vast that it covers an area larger than Portugal. A place where the modern world fades away. This is Vale du Javari. At first glance, it looks like an endless sea of green. Towering rainforest stretches beyond the horizon. Countless rivers twist through dense jungle like giant snakes. From above, everything appears peaceful. Beautiful. Untouched. But beneath that emerald canopy lies one of the most mysterious and least explored regions in South America. Unlike many places on this list, Vale du Javari isn't closed because of ancient ruins. Or military secrets. Or dangerous radiation. It's protected because people still live here exactly as their ancestors did thousands of years ago. The valley is home to one of the largest concentrations of uncontacted indigenous peoples anywhere on Earth. These communities have chosen, or been forced by history, to remain isolated from the outside world. Some have never had peaceful contact with modern civilization. Others deliberately avoid outsiders after centuries of violence, disease, and exploitation brought into the Amazon. For them, isolation isn't a mystery. It's survival. Because of this, Brazil has placed strict protections on the region. Unauthorized entry is prohibited. Only specially authorized researchers, government teams, and indigenous protection officials are allowed into certain areas. These rules exist for an important reason. Even a common cold carried by an outsider could spread rapidly through isolated communities that have little or no natural immunity to many modern diseases. A single visit could become a tragedy. Protecting the forest also means protecting the people who depend on it. But human isolation isn't the valley's only mystery. Nature itself guards countless secrets here. Scientists estimate that thousands of plant and animal species living in the Amazon have yet to be formally identified. Every year, researchers discover insects never seen before. Unknown frogs. Rare orchids. New species of fish hiding in remote rivers. Even mammals that had escaped scientific recognition for centuries. The deeper researchers explore, the more they realize how little we truly know. Some areas remain almost completely unmapped. Dense vegetation blocks satellite views. Heavy rainfall constantly reshapes riverbanks. Seasonal flooding transforms entire landscapes. Trails disappear overnight. A route that exists today may vanish tomorrow beneath rising water. Navigation becomes a challenge unlike almost anywhere else on Earth. Even experienced guides rely on generations of knowledge passed down through local communities. Without them, the forest can become a maze with no obvious exit. Naturally, such an isolated place has inspired extraordinary stories. Local legends speak of enormous snakes lurking beneath dark river waters. Forest spirits watching anyone who enters without respect. Hidden waterfalls untouched by human eyes. Entire villages concealed so perfectly that outsiders can pass within a few hundred yards without ever realizing anyone is nearby. Some tales describe strange lights floating silently above the jungle at night. Others tell of mysterious sounds echoing through the forest long after sunset. Most of these stories belong to local folklore, passed from one generation to the next. Whether taken literally or symbolically, they reflect something important. The Amazon has always inspired awe. Even science occasionally struggles to explain everything witnessed within its endless wilderness. The valley has also become increasingly important for another reason. Illegal logging, poaching, gold mining, and wildlife trafficking continue threatening parts of the Amazon. Protecting Vale do Javari has become one of the greatest conservation challenges in the world. Environmental officers often work under extremely difficult and dangerous conditions. Their mission isn't only to protect trees. It's to preserve entire cultures, entire ecosystems, entire ways of life. Perhaps nowhere illustrates this more clearly than the tragic events of 2022, when British journalist Dom Phillips and Brazilian indigenous expert Bruno Pereira were killed while traveling in the region during reporting and conservation work. Their deaths shocked the international community and highlighted the very real dangers faced by those working to protect the Amazon. It also reminded the world that some of today's greatest mysteries aren't ancient. They're unfolding right now. Despite decades of research, enormous portions of the valley remain biologically unexplored. Scientists believe undiscovered medicinal plants may exist within its forests. Unknown ecosystems may still thrive beneath its canopy. Entire chapters of Earth's natural history could remain hidden there. Imagine that. In an age of smartphones, artificial intelligence, and satellites orbiting the planet, there are still places where nature keeps its greatest secrets beyond our reach. As night falls over Vale do Javari, the rainforest comes alive. The calls of unseen animals echo through the darkness. Insects create an endless chorus. Mist rises slowly from the rivers beneath the moonlight. Somewhere beyond the trees, isolated communities continue living according to traditions older than recorded history. Far away from highways. Far away from cities. Far away from the modern world. Perhaps the greatest mystery of Vale do Javari isn't what we don't know. It's realizing how much of our own planet still remains unexplored. And while the Amazon hides its secrets beneath an endless canopy of green, our next destination hides them beneath solid rock. A vault carved deep inside an Arctic mountain. Protected by thick steel doors. Built to survive global catastrophe itself. Inside are millions of seeds that could one day help rebuild civilization after disaster. Welcome to the world's ultimate backup plan. The Svalbard Global Seed Vault. If civilization collapsed tomorrow, what would humanity save first? Gold? Technology? Works of art? History suggests those things matter. But none of them can feed a hungry world. Hidden deep inside a frozen mountain near the North Pole is a place built for one purpose. To protect the future of life on Earth. It isn't a military bunker. It isn't filled with priceless treasures. Instead, it safeguards something far more valuable. The very seeds that make civilization possible. Welcome to the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. Located on the remote Norwegian archipelago of Svalbard, nearly 800 miles from the North Pole, this extraordinary facility is one of the most secure places on Earth. From the outside, it looks surprisingly simple. A concrete entrance rises from the icy mountainside. Snow covers the surrounding landscape for much of the year. Silence stretches across the frozen wilderness. Most people flying overhead would never imagine what lies hidden beneath the rock. Behind a series of reinforced steel doors, a tunnel extends hundreds of feet into the mountain. At its end are massive storage chambers carved directly into solid Arctic rock. Inside those chambers, millions of seeds rest quietly in carefully sealed packages. Rice, wheat, corn, beans, barley. Thousands of crops collected from almost every corner of the planet. Each one represents generations of agriculture, centuries of human knowledge, and the possibility of starting over if disaster ever strikes. The idea sounds almost like science fiction. Why would humanity need a giant underground seed bank? The answer lies in history. Throughout the centuries, wars, natural disasters, climate change, plant diseases, and human conflict have repeatedly destroyed valuable crops. Entire varieties have disappeared forever. When a unique crop is lost, its genetic diversity disappears with it. And once it's gone, it cannot be recreated. Scientists realized the world needed a backup. Not for money, not for governments, but for food itself. Construction of the seed vault began in the early 2000s, and it officially opened in 2008. The location wasn't chosen by accident. Svalbard offers extraordinary natural protection. The surrounding permafrost helps keep temperatures extremely low. The mountain provides additional insulation. Even if electrical systems failed, the frozen environment would help preserve the seeds for long periods. Engineers designed the facility to survive earthquakes, floods, and many other natural disasters. It was built with one goal in mind: to endure. Each country that contributes seeds continues to own them. The vault doesn't take possession of anyone's crops. Instead, it functions much like a highly secure safety deposit box. Gene banks from around the world send duplicate samples for long-term protection. If their original collections are ever damaged or destroyed, they can request their backup. Remarkably, that has already happened. During the Syrian civil war, a major seed collection in Aleppo became inaccessible due to the conflict. Scientists later retrieved duplicate samples stored safely inside the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. Those seeds helped rebuild the lost collection. The vault wasn't just preparing for hypothetical disasters. It proved its value in the real world. Today, it protects well over 1 million seed samples representing thousands of plant species from nearly every nation. Each small packet may seem insignificant, but together, they preserve the genetic foundation of global agriculture. Some crop varieties resist drought. Others survive extreme cold. Some naturally resist insects or disease. As the climate changes, those genetic traits may become increasingly important for feeding future generations. In many ways, the vault protects options humanity may someday desperately need. Naturally, a place this mysterious has inspired countless conspiracy theories. Some claim it stores secret DNA experiments. Others insist priceless historical artifacts lie hidden behind restricted doors. There are stories about underground cities connected by secret tunnels stretching beneath the Arctic. Some even believe world governments built the vault because they know an extinction-level event is coming. None of these claims are supported by credible evidence. The truth is both simpler and perhaps even more remarkable. Humanity came together to preserve the building blocks of life itself. Not because the end of the world is certain, but because preparation is wiser than regret. Access to the vault is tightly controlled. Ordinary tourists cannot simply walk inside. Only authorized personnel and representatives from participating institutions are allowed into the storage chambers. Security measures protect not only the seeds, but also the priceless genetic heritage they represent. Ironically, the vault itself has faced unexpected challenges. In 2017, unusually warm Arctic temperatures caused meltwater to enter the entrance tunnel. The seeds remained completely safe, and the storage chambers were never threatened. However, the incident reminded scientists that even the Arctic is changing faster than many expected. Engineers later upgraded the facility with improved waterproofing and drainage systems to strengthen its resilience against future climate impacts. Perhaps that's the greatest lesson hidden inside this frozen mountain. The vault wasn't built because humanity expects disaster. It was built because history teaches us that unexpected events always happen. Preparing for tomorrow doesn't mean fearing it. It means respecting how fragile our world can be. As the Arctic night settles over Svalbard, the mountain grows silent once again. Behind layers of rock, steel, and ice, millions of tiny seeds wait patiently in complete darkness. Each one holds the blueprint for a future harvest. A future forest. A future civilization. Perhaps no treasure on earth carries greater value than that. Because when everything else is gone, life begins with a seed. But while this frozen vault protects the future of humanity, our final destination protects something even older. Hidden behind towering stone walls in the heart of Ethiopia lies a sacred place where, according to ancient tradition, one of history's most legendary religious artifacts has remained guarded for centuries. No visitors are allowed to see it. No photographs exist. Only a single guardian is ever permitted to enter. The mystery surrounding the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion is unlike anything else on earth. Some mysteries survive because no one has found the truth. Others survive because no one is allowed to look. In the ancient city of Aksum, Ethiopia, stands a modest stone chapel that attracts worldwide fascination, not because of its size, but because of what many believe is hidden inside. According to one of history's oldest traditions, this small church guards the most sought-after religious artifact ever described. An object said to have disappeared from history more than 2,500 years ago. The legendary Ark of the Covenant. If the tradition is true, then behind these quiet walls rests the sacred chest described in the Hebrew Bible, the vessel said to have held the stone tablets of the Ten Commandments. For believers, it is one of the holiest objects ever created. For historians, it is one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. The Ark's story begins thousands of years ago. According to biblical tradition, it was constructed during the time of Moses after the Israelites escaped Egypt. Made from acacia wood and covered inside and out with pure gold, the Ark was far more than a ceremonial object. It symbolized God's covenant with his people. Ancient texts describe it as being carried before armies, placed within the Holy of Holies in Solomon's temple, and treated with extraordinary reverence. Then it vanished. When Babylon conquered Jerusalem in 586 BC and destroyed Solomon's temple, historical references to the Ark suddenly disappeared. No confirmed record explains what happened next. Was it destroyed? Hidden? Secretly removed before the invasion? For more than 2 millennia, no one has answered those questions with certainty. Yet Ethiopia tells a very different story. According to Ethiopian Orthodox tradition, the Ark never disappeared at all. Instead, it was brought to Ethiopia centuries earlier by Menelik I, who is traditionally described as the son of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. The story says that after visiting his father in Jerusalem, Menelik returned to Ethiopia with the Ark, where it has remained under continuous protection ever since. Whether viewed as sacred history or cherished tradition, the belief has shaped Ethiopian religious identity for centuries. Today, that tradition centers on one place: the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion in Aksum. Within a small chapel beside the main church, the Ark is believed to rest under constant protection. But there is one extraordinary rule. Only a single guardian monk is permitted to see it. Once chosen, he dedicates the rest of his life to protecting the sacred object. He does not leave his post. He does not reveal details about what he sees. When he dies, another guardian is selected to continue the responsibility. No archaeologists are allowed inside. No historians. No journalists. No tourists. No cameras. No scientific testing has ever been permitted. For the outside world, the chapel remains sealed. Naturally, this secrecy has inspired endless debate. Skeptics argue there is no verifiable evidence proving the biblical ark rests inside the chapel. Without independent examination, historians cannot confirm the claim. Others point out that many churches throughout Ethiopia house ceremonial replicas of the ark, known as tablets, which play an important role in Ethiopian Orthodox worship. These sacred replicas should not be confused with the original ark described in tradition. Believers, however, see the absence of public proof very differently. For them, the ark is not an archaeological exhibit. It is a sacred object deserving reverence rather than investigation. Faith, they argue, does not require scientific validation. And so, the mystery continues. Over the centuries, adventurers, scholars, and treasure hunters have all dreamed of discovering the truth. Some imagined hidden underground chambers beneath the church. Others proposed secret tunnels connecting ancient structures throughout Aksum. A few even claimed the ark had already been moved elsewhere centuries ago. None of these theories have been supported by credible evidence. The reality is simpler. The chapel remains closed. Its guardian remains silent. And the world continues to wonder. Even without the ark, Aksum itself is extraordinary. Once the capital of the powerful Aksumite kingdom, the city was among the great civilizations of the ancient world. Its towering granite stelae still rise toward the sky. Ancient royal tombs lie beneath the earth. Ruins of forgotten palaces continue to reveal new archaeological discoveries. Every stone carries the weight of history. Yet despite centuries of excavation, the church's greatest secret remains untouched. Perhaps that's why this mystery has endured longer than almost any other. Not because evidence keeps changing, but because the evidence cannot be examined at all. In an age where satellites map distant planets, artificial intelligence analyzes ancient manuscripts, and robots explore the ocean floor, one small chapel continues guarding a mystery beyond the reach of modern science. As evening settles over Aksum, church bells echo softly through the ancient city. Candles flicker inside centuries-old sanctuaries. Pilgrims bow their heads in quiet prayer. Behind the chapel's stone walls, a lone guardian continues his silent watch, just as generations before him have done. Whether the Ark of the Covenant truly rests there, or whether its final resting place remains somewhere else entirely, may never be known. And perhaps that is exactly why the mystery has survived for so long. Some places challenge our understanding of science. Others challenge our understanding of history. But the greatest mysteries challenge our understanding of certainty itself. From islands overrun by deadly snakes, to cities swallowed by desert sands, from hidden lakes beneath Antarctic ice, to sacred relics guarded for centuries, our world remains far more mysterious than we often imagine. Every place on this journey reminds us of one simple truth. No matter how advanced humanity becomes, there will always be places we cannot fully explain. Places we cannot freely enter. And secrets that refuse to surrender their answers. If you enjoyed uncovering these hidden mysteries with XyraMyst, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and tell us in the comments. Which mysterious place shocked you the most, and which one would you explore if you had the chance? Until next time. Stay curious. Stay skeptical. And remember, Sometimes the greatest mysteries aren't the ones we've solved. They're the ones still waiting to be discovered.